Okay, let's get started.
Just raise your glasses high. This one's sweet.
Amy,
Riley,
look at us.
we're back.
Look at where we are.
Where are we?
Ken's Den. You won't know this if you're just listening to the podcast through your ears or auditorily, but if you look on YouTube, you'll be absolutely stunned by where Amy and I are, right?
Yeah, the inside of the shed was over 200 degrees. We had to go to a different part of Villa Rosa.
Yes, so we're in Ken's Den, and we knew that this is the perfect spot to record this very special episode of Turtle Time called Turtle Time Trip, right?
Turtle Time presents.
Turtle Time presents a Turtle Time Trip, Scary Island,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Something like that?
Yeah. We decided that Scary Island must entail 3 episodes. What is it? It's Housewives Overboard. What's the other one?
Sun, Sand, and Psychosis,
Yeah.
and then Shunburn.
Yes.
So we're gonna. Oh yeah. So if we talked about this a little bit, but for people who don't know, whenever Amy and I need a evergreen episode because we can't be present in the moment and do something topical, we're gonna maybe possibly do a series called Turtle Time Trip, and it's gonna be you and I going back through the Bravo vault for iconic Housewives trips that we will never probably cover during our run of Turtle Time.
Yeah.
And we thought, why not start with the goddamn best of those trips?
Our namesake.
Our namesake, where Turtle Time originated. And that scene is more powerful than I ever even remembered. Not to get ahead of ourselves, but it is so... It did embody, I think, the Turtle Time spirit a little bit, what we witnessed.
Total party, positivity. I don't even know how we're going to frame this because, I mean, the fact that it's 3 episodes is a lot already, but it's iconic all the way through. I've seen it probably in reality, maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know, at least probably a dozen times.
Yeah, I think I've probably seen it 7 times. I
Yeah.
was just thinking. And it still packs such a punch. I mean, it's just a never-ending, wild series of episodes. I mean, even the stuff that's not the trip is firing on all cylinders. It's Luann. I was like, Luann's not on this trip, but she's creating and performing Money Can't Buy You Class for the first time.
Yeah,
and then
she's
going,
like in an opium den in Chinatown.
huffing opium with Court, that novelist or whatever. I was like, this is so good. I mean, it really is shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking.
There's like so much to look at that there's, even after 10 watches, you're seeing new stuff.
Then at the end, before you can even, when you just want to relax, just like Bethany and Ramona after watching those 3 beautiful episodes, then you got a guy singing Figaro, the opera at the very end at Sonia's beautiful party. It just does not let up.
I know. I didn't remember. I wouldn't have recalled that party was that episode.
No, I wouldn't have recalled it either.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, framing this, I think we can dive into, all of the iconic moments, but maybe just talking about what Scary Island truly, means to us. Do you consider this the best Housewives trip potentially?
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like that's the basic answer to give, but I really think it's undeniable.
But does it only, I mean, it is so iconic and it's so entertaining and so shocking and scary. But is it only all of those things because we're witnessing someone have a mental breakdown?
Yeah, but it's like all of the components together. Like, I was thinking about on this watch that the group on Scary Island is so funny.
Yes.
Like, it's a group of people that would never in a million years be on a trip together.
Right.
Like, it's the kookiest fucking group.
Yeah.
Which, like, I don't know if I think that every time, but it particularly hit me this time. Like in what world would like Bethany Frankel be on a trip with Ramona or Alex? Like, Sonia and Ramona obviously make sense, but like the 4 of them is like, and plus Kelly is like ridiculous.
Yeah. It's a very unique grouping. And then by the end of it, once Kelly leaves them, they're kind of forged through fire, those four. Like they'll be kind of, well, you'd think that they would be best friends for life after something like that.
Which is why when Jill then shows up at the very end, she has no idea that this oddball group, like she thinks that she's coming in as like a glue of like, that's a weird group. I'm going to come in and I've known Ramona for 15 years. I have a deep history with Bethany, and they're all like, bitch, we have been through hell and back. You will never understand. Get the fuck out of here.
Yes, exactly. Jill does not know how fortified this group has become.
Yeah.
And they barely give her a clue into what they really suffered through together. So Jill has no idea what is happening. I want to say one thing that I thought the entire time and ask you this. Did Kelly actually have a breakdown?
Okay, watching this again and again and again, I don't know that we'll ever know what exactly happened to her mind there.
But I think after me watching Kelly and knowing how she always talks and acts, I feel like this was maybe just 1 or 2 degrees off from how she always is.
Yeah.
I mean, she was a little more tired, possibly had a couple more glasses of wine.
Yeah.
She was in a kind of a scary place for her with her so-called enemies. And I feel like she was slightly odd for herself, but I don't really know. At a certain point, they call it a breakdown and they say she went absolutely nuts. Yeah. But I don't know. Is it so far afield from how odd Kelly always is?
Right. Because on Ultimate Girls Trip, that was like a year ago, she acted essentially the same.
Yeah. I mean, like the thing that people point out as being indicative of her having a breakdown are all of those miscued random lines that she says.
Yeah.
Like satchels of gold.
Yeah.
Al Sharpton. And those are just her
isms.
her trying to be funny in the moment and not understanding the reference because I think Bethany is just much wittier than her. So she's kind of far afield.
Yeah. It does give like trying to fight an Olympian.
Yes.
Where like Bethany is a wordsmith. She's quick. She can read a situation immediately and like assess it and like have a good read on it.
Yes.
And Kelly has no idea what the fuck is going on ever.
She's the exact opposite of Bethany. Even when she wants to bring a quote or a reference into the ether, it's a situation of lemons out of lemonade or whatever. She doesn't even know the tried and true things you can bring into a conversation. And Bethany's the exact opposite. She can make witty remarks off the top of her head. So they are completely bad sparring partners.
Yeah. It's just, I feel like because by the end of it, Bethany's saying Kelly has the exact opposite read on a situation than what actually happened. Like she'll spin everything and just say the weirdest shit, and it does feel like she's trying to come up with a different angle to be argumentative, and then it just absolutely doesn't make sense.
There's no self-awareness. She's not reading a situation properly at all. But even when she was doing the kabuki theater, channeling a vampire, those kind of things, I understood she was trying to say something. She was trying to say that Alex McCord, I watched the scene that she was referring to. She said that Alex McCord looked like a kabuki demon when she delivered the message to Jill Zarin that Bethany didn't want to be her friend.
Yeah.
But she can't put 2 sentences together and she can't keep a coherent story going.
Like if Bethany wanted to read Alex for filth for the exact same thing, it would have been funny. Like she'd been like, and she showed up looking like fucking full ass kabuki. What the fuck was that?
Yeah. But but then when she puts kabuki theater with channeling a vampire with your tongue looks like a knife and all this stuff.
And that she threw up the night before imagining Bethany trying to murder her. Like it just took all these tangents where people were like, wait, like, is there something, when it started getting into that realm, I think is where it became weird and like troublesome.
The weirdest to me is I have nightmares of you every night where you're stabbing me, and I was afraid to come here because I thought my nightmares might become a reality.
She goes, "You've tried to kill me so many times before," like blurring the line between dream and present.
Yes.
That's like the definition of psychosis.
Yeah. But I do think psychosis is maybe a better word for what she went through. But I just don't know. I mean, I don't know if they started to get in the mind space where they thought that this was a full-blown mental breakdown, and we're kind of just taking their word for it, because Kelly did no recovery for this. She got to continue to be a part of the cast. She did a full another additional season after this. Yeah. Like, it didn't affect her in any way.
Yeah.
I think that she just was really, really off her game and really tired. And once they started to look at Kelly with a microscope, every weird thing she said magnified.
Yeah. I mean, there's just, at the bare minimum, there's no question that she is a freak.
Odd.
Oddball. And I feel like she gets to generally just, and to use her words, like live in La La Land, rainbows, like running around New York City, kind of just like, I mean, except for that, like, she literally has kids. Like, she has to take care of human beings. But, like, I feel like this was more of a challenge than she had ever seen.
Yeah. But she thinks she's right in all of these scenarios. And
do you remember, I mean, I'm probably just going to end up watching this entire season after this because I've gotten a taste for blood and I will not be stopped. But I want to watch the reunion again because I remember her being kind of, like, dejected at the reunion.
I think she considers this a breakthrough, and I read some stuff about it, and I don't think she like sought treatment. And even when, you know, they're trying to explain what Kelly went through, they can't really articulate really well the kind of stuff she was saying. And I have a hard time, you know.
She can't articulate, and we can't articulate her not being able to articulate.
But but when they do at the end, which we'll get to, when they do start to just say, let's put down our weapons and just treat Kelly like a person that has gone insane off the reservation.
Yeah.
Kelly appreciates it. It's like she doesn't want any subtext. She doesn't want any talking that's not about her or about anyone else. Like, she really starts to like appreciate this like playground they made for her and how they start to talk to her at the end.
Yeah, she's like, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate this type of environment.
Yeah, she never says anything when, like, there's a whole 5 minutes where Sonia's saying, now we're, you know, talking to a crazy person and we need to be nice to her because she's lost it and we're acting like she's normal and she's gone insane. Yeah. And they're all like, you're right. Like, something's really wrong. And she's just like sitting there. Just like, if that was about you, wouldn't you be like, hello? Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, I don't know what is going on. And then there are parts which we'll talk about where she is when she says, I don't want to be a part of your conversation, I don't like this, they say, well, then please just shut up. You don't have to be a part of it. And then she actively antagonizes and goes in harder and starts wanting to be more a part of it, even though she's completely out of her depth and saying all the wrong things.
Right.
So
it's so weird. Yeah, because it's like her defense, the only thing she can say to everyone outside of the trip is that, and she says it on the trip, but like that she despises talking badly about people. She hates gossip. She just cannot participate in anything like that. And it is a little bit like, what the fuck do you think we're doing here? Yeah. Like, she takes it to a whole other level where she like has to leave the room if someone that's not there is even mentioned.
Yes. But from a modern standpoint, I mean, this was almost antiquated. The way that they bring up conflict, they were very respectful. I mean, they brought Jill up few and far between, and it was
they
for
weren't
stuff
even mean,
that,
really.
Huh?
They weren't even mean.
No, and they treated Kelly really well.
Yeah.
She for the most part. I mean, until they got to Gummy Bear World where they they thought they were dealing with someone who was having a mental breakdown. They were not antagonistic towards Kelly. It was more her going at Bethany, and then everyone sort of caught the fallout of those arguments.
If Bethany was an underdog, it would be she was being so mean to her. Yeah. But Bethany's so strong that you just like laugh it off because you're like, you really picked the wrong one. Like, all of her comments were so whack that you're just like, even Bethany, I mean, she definitely ends up riling at Bethany and making her upset, but generally Bethany's like, are you guys hearing this shit? Like, this is nuts.
Yeah, it's more like Bethany is just shocked at what's happening the entire time. And then she does give it back to her a few times once Kelly has provoked her enough.
Yeah.
Kelly went into this, I read some articles because everyone wanted to know what the hell was going on. And I think she this whole thing for her is like a fourth wall break in a way, where like she thought that she said that she thought that Bethany was like, had more of like a health scare, like with her first trimester of her pregnancy or something. So she like didn't understand why, like she wanted to treat, well, this doesn't make any sense now if knowing it's Bethany, but that she didn't understand why they were getting so heightened and emotional around someone that was struggling with like a health issue, which that's more of her, I think, hindsight looking at like what was going on. And then there's the whole press stuff that she blames Bethany for, which they don't.
It's completely unexplained.
Right. Like, I mean, I do assume in this era that Bethany is probably like they're all talking to the press and stuff, and there is a lot of press back and forth, but I just don't know if anything warrants, I guess, how Kelly was interacting with Bethany for that entire time.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there's still a good solid answer as to what happened. But I also read there was a producer at BravoCon who talked about it, and he said that there was so much footage that they had to cut out, and that Kelly was doing fourth wall breaks during that dinner.
Oh my God, give it to me.
I
Show
know.
me to me, Rachel. Oh my God. If Bravo gets desperate enough, they have something to fall back on. Like, I would buy it for like $79.99, like a DVD,
The full uncut version.
I would pay like $1,000 actually.
So do you, just to answer that question, do you think that what do you just classify that as psychosis? What is psychosis? A temporary lapse of
Reality.
Yeah. I mean, was that what it was?
Yeah, I feel like she doesn't have a lot to work with upstairs generally.
Yeah.
And that she was taken to her absolute outer limits mentally, just trying to spar and getting upset and drinking and being confused because she can't keep up. I just think she was like completely out of her element, and like it drove her nuts.
And yes, absolutely. Because then when you watch the reaction to like her getting the gift bag and stuff, you just cannot imagine that this is a human reaction to something happening. So you have to add this like context to make it make sense.
That's the best thing. Like, I was just we took notes on all 3 episodes, and I wrote down so much shit. And then right before we started talking, I highlighted like my favorites because I was like, I can't say all of this.
Yeah.
And I was just laughing at every single thing. And like when she gets that tote bag, like you know exactly what's going to happen. We've seen it a million times. Like Bethany just puts the skinny girl bag down, and she when she opens the door, when Kelly opens the door and sees it, she jumps a foot back.
She's
like it was a snake.
She's scared. She's very scared. I mean, she's scared this whole time.
That's what I want to know. Like, what was her like vision? Like her, like almost like what do you call it? Like hallucination of what Bethany
I know
is like in her mind.
Yeah, yes, and that's what I was just gonna ask. Is, you know, because I would always like to think about the other side. And like when they were talking about the press stuff, I was like, did Bethany put like some slanderous article about her daughter? Like I don't think that Bethany would do that, but I don't put it past Bethany to put damaging articles about Kelly if they hated each other after season 2 potentially. So I wanted to ask, like, at what, like, do you think that any of the creepy feelings that Kelly has towards Bethany are justified in any way?
I don't know, because she immediately, that's the thing. I feel like if there was something there, the show probably would have gotten a little more into that. But like, what is an article going? She goes, she came after my little girl. And I'm like, what's the article?
Yeah, right.
Like, you know, like,
Kelly
what is it?
Kelly has shitty daughter.
Yeah, like,
according to anonymous
little
source.
slob daughter. Like, what?
Yeah, right. They would never.
Like, what was it? And then she like, it's like, you went out after my friend Gwyneth. And I don't think they ever, in my memory, clarify what that is. But I could picture like Bethany making a joke where she's like, who am I, fucking Gwyneth Paltrow? And then she's like, you went after Gwyneth.
Yeah, about because Gwyneth and her are sort of in similar arenas, right?
Right.
And then Sonia says she's a comedian. That's just a joke.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know if there was anything that we would give Kelly in this moment to say, I kind of
You know what?
understand.
Now, Bethany 2024, I understand.
That's what I'm saying.
But Bethany then was so much cooler, calmer, especially this era. I mean, I know that they had beef like even before Bethany was like pregnant or, you know, this era, the thing that makes it so interesting is Bethany's like at her best, like
Yes.
mentally, like
Yeah.
she seems very calm and like happy,
Yeah.
kind of serene,
Yeah.
which is not normal for her.
Right.
So it's funny that this is when Kelly is the most freaked out by her because it's her most gentle era.
Totally.
Whereas,
And Bethany is only giving her, like you already said, she's only giving her about 10% of her power in all of these scenes. I mean, until she goes to go to sleep or whatever, where she's screaming.
Yeah.
Like Bethany is handing Kelly her ass in every single fight, but Bethany's not even, she's being
Yeah.
pretty restrained.
We should do a super cut of Kelly voiceover describing how scary Bethany is with modern TikTok clips of Bethany. Like proving the point in retrospect.
That's really why I was asking this question. I was like, do you think that anything about Bethany, now that we've got a peek behind the curtain? I don't feel this way, but you've told me horror stories of what Bethany is doing, like apologizing to John Mulaney for not being at a show in the front row, and eating those seafood buckets in the complete
chicken
dark.
salad. Yeah.
The chicken salad dressing like a gigantic chicken. That is more like a Jill thing now that I think about it.
my
Beth,
God.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, they should get back together.
So I'm just wondering if there's any rationale, which you've kind of said probably not enough to warrant Kelly's reaction.
No.
I mean, she does think it's very creepy. She says it multiple times, how creepy it is that Bethany went on this trip after her dad's funeral.
Right.
But the two things in that argument are people should be allowed to do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, not
And-
her business.
And second, she had a horrible relationship with her father.
Yeah.
And this is work.
No, I mean, but also she uses such like extreme language throughout. Like the women at lunch on the yacht are talking about Jill, you know, it's not that bad. They're kind
No.
of just saying like, this is what she said to me or whatever. And she goes, you guys are demented,
Yeah. Vile.
vile and demented.
Yeah. It's
So
really
it's like, if we see the way she's talking about what's before our very eyes,
Yeah.
I will take that for how she's describing everything.
Yeah. She kind of hates like the foundation of the show
Yeah.
in a way. Like she hates scenes where you're talking about other people. She doesn't like gossip. She hates feelings apparently. So she just doesn't
Free to
want
be you and me, 1979.
free. What was it?
Free to be you and me,
You and me.
1979.
1979. What was going on in 1979 that she keeps referring to? Right before the Reagan era, I was thinking.
My sister was born.
Really? So it was like Jimmy Carter,
Yeah,
right?
he's chill.
Yeah, but it was the end of his presidency. Like
Gas crisis.
One of the worst gas crises. The hostages. Jimmy couldn't get him back,
no.
Mr. Carter, or President Carter. But I don't know why she keeps pulling that reference. I didn't look it up, and I looked up a lot of her other stuff too.
Satchels of
Gold, and I looked up Al Sharpton, and I didn't. There's no one has really come up with a code
Yeah.
breaker for any of those references.
My impression, I felt like, so Bethany says you can't handle the truth, which is a few good men.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson. So like nothing even remotely close to what she was saying. Then she brings up Al Sharpton, but then she goes, put your hair up. And then I was like, does she mean Don King?
Yeah.
But that's like so unrelated as well.
Well, because did Don King, I don't know too much about him, but did he ever say anything in the realm of you can't handle the truth?
What does he say? He doesn't say like, let's get ready to rumble or something like that.
He says, let me look. I looked up if she was like what Al Sharpton said, and there was not many iconic Al Sharpton quotes. I mean,
it's
that I
like
could.
all like civil rights quotes.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to look into what Don King said, but I think it was kind of a hodgepodge of a bunch of different figures.
A peek behind the curtain.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so I don't know. Did we talk about it enough up front before we get into it?
Yeah, I think I'm sure we'll tangent off of every single thing, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm no closer to understanding her state of mind after this watch.
Yeah. But even, I guess, to answer my own question, that even though that this is an outlier circumstance which causes this to be great, which is Kelly's breakdown,
Yeah.
which if you didn't have Kelly's breakdown, would this be an iconic trip that we'd remember for all time? And there is enough, you said, there is sort of enough flavor here to still make it kind of iconic, to have, in addition to Kelly melting down, you
Yeah.
also have the Hooters
Yeah.
guy, Ramona
Hooters
kissing
boat.
him on the lips.
Yep.
The best dancing I think I've ever seen in my life at Fat Turtle. Like
Yeah.
the funniest juxtaposition of dancing with music
Yeah.
that I've ever seen in my life. So there is a lot here that is
Yeah.
great. It's just that Kelly's iconic performance gets us to the stratosphere, and it can never be replicated because you can't have breakdowns with cast members all the time.
Yeah, and it brought this funny group together in a way that I don't know could have happened otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first of the three is Housewives Overboard. The setup is that Ramona is treating all the girls to basically a bachelorette trip for her vow renewal,
Yes.
which her whole life is about renewal all the
Right.
time.
True renewal.
Yeah, and then remember she gets that haircut at one point, or that's for this.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
she gets the haircut and she's like, it's giving Cameron Diaz. And they're like, not really, bitch.
I have to say, Ramona, throughout this entire episode, she's not only the most excited I've ever seen her and happiest I've ever seen her, but she's also like just a 10 out of 10 in terms of providing entertainment the entire time.
She's nuts.
Yeah, she's just like, she is having the time of her life on this trip. She is so happy to be hosting this trip.
Yeah. She's like, her eyes are giant the entire time. And she just has this frenetic, hummingbird energy
She's
the
blissed.
whole time.
She's blissed out completely.
Yeah. So she picks up Sonia from the townhouse. It is clear now that Jill is not coming. They're like, she's not coming because it's not about her.
Now,
This
can I
is-
ask
yeah.
a little bit for you, because I think you might know this more than me, because I struggle to remember. Is Jill just in such a bad place with Alex and Bethany that she didn't want to go on this trip, and then Luann is Jill's ally?
Yeah.
So she also is kind of fighting with Ramona and Alex in a way, so she's kind of just standing back because
I think so. I also feel like Luann is so composed in this era. This is where Ramona calls Luann Jill's sidekick and said, let's be honest, they're the buzzkills of the group, which I'm like, imagine in 2024 calling Luann a buzzkill.
Oh my God. I mean, but then I don't even know if I can trust Ramona's read, because then we see her beautiful scenes this episode
Yeah.
and she's having the time of her life.
Yeah. We're she's just entering her single era. So historically, she was the buttoned up countess who was
right.
a pain in the ass.
So maybe she's identifying her more with the count, but we're just
Yeah.
starting to see Luann sort of lower that hat or whatever. You know,
Yeah.
what's it called when you take off your glasses? Let your hair down.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I meant. She was just starting to let her hair down.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, so Jill has just freshly had a huge blowout with Alex. And then what's the big news that Alex delivers in the kabuki?
So I watched it because I had to know, because Kelly mentions it so many
Mm-hmm.
times, the kabuki makeup, and it is a very uncomfortable, wild scene. I mean, just as good as anything we see here. Alex McCord had to deliver a message for Bethany to Jill, and Alex is so bad or she's so awkward that she says, I have to deliver this message to you, Jill. And then everyone, she's around everyone, and everyone sort of braces for the message, and they keep interrupting her.
Yeah.
And Alex,
Her neck is red.
yeah, and she's getting hives because she's so nervous about having to say this. And then it gets so prolonged that there's so much anticipation. And then she says the rudest thing in the world that Jill says, which is that Bethany would like to end her friendship with you now, and she never wants to see you again in her life. And she tells that in front of everybody, and Jill is horrified.
Yeah.
This whole season is kind of Jill getting really embarrassed, or at least in these last few episodes.
Yeah. So yeah, I think she is pissed off that Alex is invited. It's awkward that Bethany's there and they still are on the outs. So I guess she was just kind of being like, I don't need to go to that.
Jill was also trying to turn the tide away from Bethany, who had become the sort of top dog in this era, right?
Huge mistake.
What Jill did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest miscalculations of all time.
Yeah, and Jill has since said that she thought that this would be a dynamic, end of a friendship that she could sort of exploit for ratings. Like she said that this was like almost fabricated in her mind. But in reality, she was doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes that Bethany found to be very offensive, like calling people and getting really jealous of Bethany's success, like when she hosted the Today Show and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, it's like I remember watching it originally and just being like truly heartbroken at the dissolution of their friendship because it really didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like Jill was just being stubborn and like trying to get the high, what am I trying to say?
High. She's trying to get the high
upper
top
hand
on the mountain. Yeah. Yeah.
back. And it's like, it's crazy to watch Bethany, again, different time. She basically begs for her forgiveness or for them to get back together like 3 times. And you watch her get, her rebut her like so many times. And then the big thing when she shows up at Ramona's apartment and she basically says like, I will not talk to you, and like sends her away. You're like, yeah, like what the fuck else is she supposed to do?
Yeah.
Like she should be done with you.
Yeah, it's true. Strategically, it was a horrible mistake. And as a friend, it was a horrible mistake. And I do really think Jill just got extremely jealous of Bethany when she became, the
shining
cast
star
member with a spinoff and everything.
Yeah.
Everybody loved Bethany, and then she tries to create her own moments to where she would be the top dog again, and they all are the biggest flops you've ever seen in your life. We see 2 of them in this series of episodes.
Yeah.
We see her have the worst shunning I've ever seen in my life. I don't think nothing could ever match that in the world. And then her flopping like a fish on the ice skating rink when she wants to spin around in circles to impress everybody.
Well, I was joking, like gags on her because I think shortly after this, Bethany did Skating with the Stars, which was also a flop. But
it was.
Yeah. And then remember Kim Richards and Kyle Richards did Diving with the Stars?
No, I didn't know that. And you're just telling me that for the first time. I didn't know that show existed.
Oh, I'll show you.
Oh, Diving with the Stars?
Yes.
Diving. Like off big
I think
diving boards?
That's what it was. I'm trying to think if it was that people did different things and they did diving, or I think everyone did diving.
Do you like to dive?
It's hard to find the opportunity these days.
Yeah, I never get to.
My parents used to have a diving board, but they became illegal at one point.
Wait.
You had to take them out.
All diving boards?
You're not allowed to have them.
Personally?
I don't think so.
Wow. Well,
or
I was
maybe
gonna say,
like the pool has to be like so huge that,
yeah, I was going to say they have them at the Rose Bowl swimming pool if you ever want to go together.
The Rose Bowl swimming pool.
Yeah, Rose Bowl Recreation Center. It's kind of like, have you never been there?
No.
It's one of the shittiest pools I've ever been to, but if you request to be on their diving board, they'll let you jump off on it.
Hell yeah. I went to a rooftop pool the other day, and the waiter, great poolside service. It was very Vanderpumpian. He had booze in a squirt gun, and he was going around squirting booze in people's mouth.
When did you do this?
On Sunday.
What pool? Can you say?
I think it's called Hotel Le Pere. It's downtown on like Olive.
Can you say the server's name?
I don't remember because he got me lit,
What?
but it was really fun.
How often did he come by and squirt your mouth with liquor?
Man. He was coming around left and right, which was great.
Do you tip him?
We did tip him.
That is amazing.
We did not dine and dash.
Oh no, I meant like, does he just give you the squirts for free?
Well, he was like our server, so
he gets just what? That is amazing. Good man, wow! I wish I was at that pool. I forget what I did Sunday. Probably nothing too good, but okay. So, you laid out the stakes here. You said Luann's not coming, Jill's not coming.
Yes.
Ramona's on cloud 9 because. Also, what I loved about this is that Ramona is taking full ownership of trips now in Modern Housewives history, and I'm watching a lot of Modern Housewives. Of course we are, but they don't take ownership of the trips like this anymore. It's kind of like we all know as the audience that they have trips.
Yeah,
but they kind of vacillate between who's the owner of it. Ramona took full ownership of this. It was like this was for Ramona. She got the yacht. They gave her those gifts. Like I just loved how like central to this being Ramona's trip it was. It really,
and there was no drama about bedrooms or anything like that. Everyone was pretty chill.
They were so sweet to Bethany. They gave her the waterbed.
Okay, so it comes up later, but Luann says at one point that the reason she's not going is because it's her daughter's 15th birthday, and Jill's like, that's bullshit. Like, that was just a good excuse.
Yeah, Jill kind of calls her out on camera saying that's not really why you didn't
she's
go.
like, you don't give a shit about your daughter.
Do you think? Yeah. Do you think Luann, even though she did iconic things while they were on that trip, which we'll get to, do you think she regrets? I mean, I almost think she has to regret that she wasn't a part of Scary Island.
Probably historically, but at the time, I think she's like, thank fucking God.
And it wouldn't have gone this way because Kelly would have had an ally. I mean, I can't even...
Maybe. I feel like Luann would pretty quickly be like, Jesus Christ, like, get it together.
You think?
Yeah.
You think she would have still spiraled even if she had a confidant like that?
Because even in the recap of it all, Luann's like, you can tell she believes the Bethany side.
Oh, yeah.
Even though she doesn't even like Bethany.
Because Kelly... I don't know why I keep calling her Kelty. She doesn't have a clear story to tell.
She'd be the worst lawyer imaginable.
Yeah. Do you want to say what Luann was doing? Are we at that scene?
Oh my
really
God,
quick?
yeah. So in NYC, at the beginning, Luann goes to the studio for the first time to work on Money Can't Buy You Class
with Chris Young.
Yeah.
Which I was very excited by. He's like, you don't know who's been in this studio. He said 50 Cent, Britney Spears,
Ashanti,
James Brown. Yeah. And I actually really liked Chris Young's energy. You could call him, like, you could say he's like a typical, like, shady music producer, but he really gave Luann the energy to go in there and
he has a signature look. He has a like Travis Bickle mohawk, aviator sunglasses, and a pea coat.
Yeah, it's like
he wears the entire time, all of it. And then he's at the end of the last episode and he's wearing the exact same thing.
Yeah. It's like if Travis Bickle didn't go kill Harvey Keitel, Pimps, and then he started to have a music career. But I just love that he gives so much deference to Luann. And I feel like even the editors in this scene are trying to make Luann's singing seem really bad.
It's not that bad.
No. He goes...
Compared to like, I don't know.
No.
We've seen much worse.
I think we have. And he goes, I actually love her breathy voice. It's brassy and breathy, and I love how breathy it is. And then he's giving Luann the confidence in the moment to do it. And
we owe him everything.
We really do. And he had a hit on his hands.
Yeah.
This 9 times out of 10, we don't get a good song out of this, but we got the most iconic song, or one of the most iconic songs.
Did you notice that behind his desk in the window, there was a blurred out Eric Cartman sticker or something?
No, I didn't see that.
Through the blur, you could tell it was Cartman.
How? Because it had a red shape.
The blue, the yellow.
Wow.
And I was like, I love that. They're like, this is such an iconic studio, pure class. And then it's like Cartman.
And you like press on Cartman's belly. It was a sticker, you said?
Yeah, it was like on the window, like a printout.
Screw you guys. I was going to do Cartman.
But he will not calling her, he calls her Countess the whole time. And she's like, you can call me Luann. And he goes, nope, you're the Countess. You're class and panache as far as I'm concerned.
He buys into the Luann mythos.
Yes.
Like he believes in her early, which is we've come to believe in her.
Yeah.
Like I absolutely loved Chris Young's energy. He didn't seem like a fraud, fake, shitty producer. He was just in the moment. He got what he needed to get out of someone that he had faith in.
I mean, he did seem shady to me, but it worked out. He just kept going, that's what I'm talking about. And then this is when he says all those famous people that have been in the room. And then Luann goes, I'm feeling like James Brown. Oh, yeah. And he goes, he's no stranger to this room either. And I'm like, could we just name any artist on planet Earth? And you'd be like, yep, he's been here.
Yeah. Who do you think?
Anybody.
Frank Sinatra.
You can even think of.
The Beatles. Well, but what I did like, though, even though I did think of him like that, where if I just saw a picture of him and you said, and you asked me to evaluate him, I would have said he was kind of shady. But I did like that he was so conducive to the experience. Like, he was a hype man for her. So maybe you need that kind of bullshit energy.
Yeah, hype man.
Yeah.
Okay, then that was iconic. And then we go to the Virgin Islands. We get the context that Bethany has just buried her father. She's pregnant. We get this is where she looks, I don't know exactly how far along she is on the island, but in her confessionals, because it's so much later, she's like extremely pregnant, which I think is kind of iconic that like she has such I don't know what shape you would call her face, like a hexagon. That like her pregnancy face is a huge jump from the face that you're watching on the island to them when she's talking about it. And when you see it the first time, you're like, whoa, like she's extremely pregnant now.
Yeah. Yeah, it did change her face shape a little bit, right?
Yeah, very angular.
Yeah.
And then they're in the car on the way to the boat, and they're sharing like pretzels or
Yes.
something. And Kelly goes, I don't eat processed foods. And then she's eating like jelly beans. And Bethany's like, I thought you don't eat high fructose corn syrup or whatever. And she's like, candy's like fun.
Yeah.
So it was like, that's strike one of you not making any fucking sense.
Yeah, and it's the first little like these are two different people, extremely different people. Bethany's willing to like call you out on like hypocrisy or statements that don't make sense.
Yeah.
You know, like this is the first instance of that, even though it's extremely low level.
Yes. And then Ramona shows them the yacht they're going to be on. It is sick. It's huge.
And their reaction is so funny. They are like screaming and jumping around, and Kelly just starts running to it.
Yeah. I will say, like, I'm thinking generally it's got to be one of the more luxurious housewives trips of all time.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, wait, a beautiful yacht.
Yeah.
That is beautiful the entire time. And then the house.
Yeah.
I was like, is
Yeah.
this the best house? Like the biggest house that anyone has ever stayed in? I mean, it was humongous for
Yeah.
them.
Like, I know there's been like Europe trips and like private jets and stuff, but like I feel like a yacht is like
Yeah.
the creme de la creme.
It was called Olga.
Oh, yes. And then they're taking it all in and how nice it is. And Ramona goes, Jill's going to be eating crow. And Kelly goes, eating what? And I'm like, okay, number 2, you don't understand shit about words.
Yeah. But would you, if you heard that and you'd never heard it before, you'd kind of have the same reaction, right?
You said what now?
Yeah. No, but it is funny because like her not knowing references or knowing how to phrase things is a recurring.
Like English is her first language. I don't know why she doesn't know any idioms or anything.
What does eat crow mean again?
Like
You'll look bad.
eat your words.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Ramona gives them a tour of her bathing suits. She brought like 400 bathing suits.
She's on cloud 9.
Yes.
She's going, look at how many bathing suits I have. I have this one. I have a one piece. I could basically be in bathing suits the entire time and never run out of bathing suits. And because it's her trip, everyone is treating Ramona so sweetly. It's just so, it's really funny
like,
to
cool.
me. Like, Alex is so deferential to Ramona. She's deferential to like everyone except people she hates. But like,
Yeah.
they're all just so like happy for Ramona.
Yeah. Speaking of bathing suits, in the final, like with the scene when Jill shows up at the end, when Alex is freaking the fuck out, her bikini top is a Sgt. Pepper's bikini top. And I'm like, I need to find that. I would love to own that.
Whose is?
Alex. She has like the Beatles are on one of her boobs.
When she's getting her pedicure?
Yes.
When she's shaking?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't know
It's
that.
like, I need to track that down as like an archive piece.
Wow. And then this is now, okay, so we had that gummy bears thing that wouldn't even register on a fight. But then after, Ramona has laid out all those bathing suits. She goes, it's lunchtime, everybody. She goes,
Yeah.
sit wherever you want. This is going to be kind of casual. And this is the last time I think that she lets them have free reign over where anybody sits.
Yeah. Bethany's in a skinny girl red giant sun hat. And then they're talking about like the dead dad stuff again. And Ramona's like, I know that's really hard. Like, thank you for being here. Like, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
And then she's like, starts freaking out. Like, where's the wine? I need my wine. Like, someone get the wine. And Bethany's like, I saw some grapes in the fridge. I'm happy to stomp them for you. And Kelly goes, those are my grapes. Don't stomp on them.
Yeah. And then Bethany goes, that was a joke. Just some light humor. It's called Grapes Make Wine. Just some light humor. And then Kelly doesn't really let up. She goes, it's food you're talking about. I'm going to eat that later. And
Don't
it's like,
joke.
So Kelly at this point, she doesn't know processed foods. She doesn't know eating crow, which everybody loves to say. And then she doesn't know that you might be making a reference to stomping grapes to make wine.
We need to like do a full Clockwork Orange and like give her context for everything, it would be like the I Love Lucy grapes clip and like just like the history of man.
That YouTube of that unfortunate woman who was stomping grapes and then she falls out of the bucket. Do you remember that and hurts herself?
Is that like an E-Bombs World moment?
I think it was the second YouTube. It was Archie bit me, and then it was woman stopping grapes, then falls, and then she makes that horrible noise when she falls on her neck. Do you remember that?
No.
But okay, so why though? Just to analyze this quickly, because I think we can get into Kelly's mind state. Does she legitimately not understand that that was a joke for Bethany, that she would stomp on grapes to make wine? Or is everything that Bethany is saying annoying to her / creeping her out? And so she's not giving Bethany not 1 inch of leeway to say whatever she wants to say. Because she's hounding Bethany this entire weekend.
Cannot let her have a win,
Is that
even
what
if
it
it's
is?
through a passive joke. She's like, no,
So she...
grapes. Those are my grapes. No grape jokes.
So you think that's what it is? Because almost everyone in the world knows that if Bethany went in and stomped on those grapes, that it would yield wine at some point.
Yeah, she's just trying to knock her down a peg every way she can, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So then they bring up Jill because I think Ramona says that Jill brought up that Bethany's dad had died, or Ramona let Jill know, but not soon enough in Jill's opinion.
Yeah.
And then Alex is saying that she also heard from Jill about it, and they were all kind of like, she's being fucking weird about it, and like obviously she feels left out and like pissed off that she's not the confidant anymore.
Yeah. And she's also missing out on huge moments in Bethany's life for a grudge that she created and kept going, and then now she's kind of like worried about everything that she's missing in Bethany's life and like resenting the people around Bethany who are getting this information before her.
Yeah. If only like she should have realized, I think she was not going to let Bethany eclipse her. So she was like, hell no, like I'm going to show you who's boss. And it's like, dude, you should have just signed up to be the Bethany sidekick because it would have led to great success for you.
I don't know why some people can't just relegate themselves to being a sidekick.
Yeah.
Jill, I don't know what about Jill's self-awareness leads her to think I am the most iconic person in this universe. You've seen Ramona, you've seen Luann, you've seen Bethany. Bethany firing on all cylinders is one of the most powerful cast members in history. I don't really know why Jill had a hard time just saying, I don't mind being a part of an ensemble.
Yeah, because she's nuts. That's why she got cast in the first place, but then she got fired.
She also has ownership over the casting of RHONY, right? Because she found Bethany or Bobby found Bethany, so she felt ownership over Bethany's success and then didn't feel like Bethany paid proper homage to her.
Yeah. Remember the Team Jill t-shirts? Did they have those at BravoCon?
Team Jill? No, what was that
She wore like
for?
a bedazzled Team Jill t-shirt to the first reunion, I think.
Oh, wow. No, I don't remember that.
And then this conversation devolves into Kelly being like, I don't like talking about people who aren't here, etc. And this is where she says that we're making lemons into lemonade.
Yeah.
And Bethany's like, no, making lemonade out of lemons is making good out of a bad situation. I think you mean mountain out of a molehill. And she's like, whatever it is, like she's like,
no, she says not necessarily. She says, she goes, you guys are kind of making lemons out of lemonade or making lemonade out of lemons. And then Bethany says, that's not how you say that. That's not what it means. And she goes, or it means this. And she goes, not necessarily. Like as if one
it's
of the
up
most
for debate.
Yeah, as if one of the most iconic tried and true phrases has an ambiguous meaning that could be applied to anything. And then Sonia corrects her. It's kind of off mic a little bit, but she goes, mountain out of a molehill is what Kelly meant to say.
Yeah. Which it's great. Everyone's starting to be like, oh Lord. And then she's like, I have to get out of here. Like, I'm not going to do this. She's like, I'll be in my la la land with cartwheels, with people being genuine and kind. You enjoy your banter and your vile behavior. And then she's like trying to open the door. There's like a button and she like cannot escape the yacht glass door. And like one of the deckhands or whatever comes by and like opens it, but it takes like a full 30 seconds for her to escape, and it's very funny.
And you already said this, but she misclassifies this pretty benign conversation as vile, disgusting, deranged,
demented,
gross. It's like that's not at all what it was. It wasn't even close. And if anything, they should be dissecting what Jill is doing right now. Jill is a part of their friend group, and it's a huge deal that they're living a Jill-less existence right now.
Right. And then, they're having like kind of drunken conversations. Sonia, as a non sequitur, goes, I've been accused of being too loyal, which I just liked as like an offshoot one-liner.
I do like that.
Then at night, it's revealed that their boat is next to the owner of Hooter's boat, which is so fun.
Huge win.
Yep.
Hooter Patrol 4, right?
Yes.
I didn't look up if it was the actual CEO that we were looking at.
Right, that Ramona's talking to.
But
yeah,
it probably was, right?
I'm just going to choose to believe.
Yeah.
And then right before the action begins, Bethany and Alex are having a sort of chill hangout, talking about Bethany's dad. Alex is being like extremely understanding about the entire situation, which is the opposite of what's to come later that night. But Alex is like, it's not all rainbows. He treated you like shit. It's never gonna be okay. Like, you have closure now, whatever. Like, she's just being like cool.
Yeah.
Which I think it's nice watching her and Bethany bond in this era. Like, I think when Bethany gets engaged, Alex is like the first one she tells, because she's like a trustworthy, normal person.
Yeah.
Like, she'll just be happy for you.
Yeah. Alex is just being very normal and, sweet to everyone for the most part this entire run.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't notice any weird behavior at all by Alex. I used to think that the her getting her photo taken, she was being kind of odd, but then I realized that it was Kelly's energy that was sort of making Alex so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, her modeling skills are questionable, but personality-wise, I feel like she only gets put into a tizzy by people that are coming for her ass.
Yeah. Then Bethany and Alex, after they have that kind of bonding moment, Alex they started talking about Kelly for a second, and Alex just goes, "What was that?" And then Bethany and Alex just laugh really hard because it strikes them so funny that Kelly just had this outlandish reaction to this low-level conversation.
They broke the tension of finally acknowledging for the first time that something's very weird about this woman. And Bethany's like, that was a gift from Jesus to make me laugh. That was insane. And she goes, there's no way that she went to Columbia. She goes, did you go to Columbia, the country? And then she's like, I know she didn't go to Mickey Mouse University. She's going after her, which I am like, how the fuck? Like, I couldn't go to Columbia and I can string a sentence together. How did she do it?
How did she do it? Did she go to Columbia? I mean, I'm just taking
I
it for
didn't look
granted.
up the degree, but
yeah,
apparently she claims to have done so.
Yeah. So Bethany is just stunned that she didn't know the lemons to lemonade phrase and everything else. And this is, they're bonding in this moment about Kelly, but little do they know this was like a 3 out of 10. And what they're going to witness is going to get so much worse.
Yeah. And the through line through all of this is that Bethany's like, I fucking told you bitches. Like, I got it first. And I saw it early, and I've been telling you the whole entire time. Yeah,
and I was trying to think of like the moments that they had, because I didn't rewatch the entire series, but I do remember like the conversation that Kelly and Bethany have where she says, I'm up here and you're down here or whatever. That was also kind of like scrambled, weird messaging that Bethany didn't understand at all.
Yeah,
so
and the Madonna charity thing.
Yeah, so she had peeks into Kelly not making any sense and being very odd, but I think that when you're with 3 days on a yacht together, you see that much more, much more frequently, all these weird things that they're doing.
Right. Then back in NYC, this is where we get Luann on her Chinatown date with Court.
I love this. Court is a novelist.
He knows. Book, I never noticed. It looks like a smut novel.
Yeah, he knows New York. I looked it up. He knows New York like the back of his hand. He looks like Timothy Treadwell, right?
Yeah, she's odd taste. Him and then that Ray guy in the dry cleaning party, like, they're kind of nutty dudes.
Ray, you're right. Ray and this man Court do have some similarities. I found Ray to be much more unhinged. I found Court to be just a really weird, rich New York guy.
He doesn't read that rich to me.
Oh, really? Oh, I felt like he was, maybe he was just lying, but I thought when he was talking about like going to the Hamptons to play tennis and the fact that he was able to like publish these vanity novels.
Yeah.
Like, and he's
maybe
a New Yorker. I thought he was.
I need to know more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, but I did look at his book. It was from 1995. And the quote from it was called The Shallow Man. And someone quoted it as saying, or blurbed it saying, Tom Wolfe rewrites American Gigolo.
Wow. That's
Pretty
something.
Good. Yeah, right.
But yeah, he takes her to this, what he describes as I forget what he says that part of Chinatown is called. Like
Bloody Angle.
Yeah.
So he knows New York City like the back of his hand. He's showing all this like history of like down Chinatown.
Yeah. And they're going over all of the mood enhancing beverages, and he's like, why don't you go for the femme fatale? And she's like, let's get the femme fatale.
And you can't overstate how horny they both are.
He's like, I'm gonna order the deal closer.
Everything they're saying, they're like breathing on each other and so close to wanting to kiss.
And she's actually, I kept waiting for it to be even more cringe where he was going to try and get a kiss that she didn't want to give. But actually she was like completely on board.
No, once he breaks the kissing seal on her by kissing her cheek, she starts giving him every cheek kiss, but they keep hoping that their lips are going to brush each time they kiss cheeks. Like they're doing as much bordering on make-out kissing that you can do and still be decent on camera.
I thought it was going to be more like that date where Nene goes out with that weird guy that gives her a watch. And she's like, it's getting weird. And she like hates him, but like wants gifts from him.
Yeah, right. Luann, though, was into this. She loves it. She thinks they have chemistry. And then it's just this like this random bar that they went to, which I love. It's like all of a sudden the bar is just on fire because one of the people that's pouring absinthe or whatever just like lights this huge vial on fire.
I wonder if it's still there. We should look. That was awesome. Then
So
we
cool.
go back to the Virgin Islands. The girls are snorkeling. This is where we get the first iteration of Ramona needing a noodle to swim,
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think.
Does she always?
Yeah, it's like a thing.
Oh, I don't remember that. They find no fish, right?
Yeah, she's Sonia's like, I'm not getting my hair wet to see no fish. And then there's dinner, which is there's not, they don't really show the dinner very much.
Not really, but but Ramona does, I think, make assigned seating because she doesn't want what happened at lunch to happen again. So she separates Kelly and Bethany for this dinner. But I guess not enough happened at this dinner to warrant a second of it.
It's all after. Kelly brings around Cafe Patron shots for everyone, which I'm kind of intrigued by.
Yeah, they were like a dark liquor.
Yeah, like it must be like a coffee flavored tequila.
She goes, I really love these. I think that she must have just been advertising something, right?
Maybe. But this is where shit starts to go crazy. Sonia and Bethany are talking about her dead dad again. She's saying that basically on his deathbed, he said that he lived a completely fulfilled life, regardless of the fact that he didn't really have a relationship with her, which is so fucking cruel.
Yeah. And Sonia is very receptive to this message and conversation and being sympathetic. And Kelly is trying to poke holes in it / discount Bethany's feelings / give an alternate take on it. And she's like, it's his life, so he should say whatever he wants at the end of his life. It's no big deal at all. And honestly, that's not at all uncommon that people go through this all the time. And that's not very uncommon for you to have gone through that. And it's like, damn. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, she's basically saying like, it is what it is. Get over it.
Yeah.
Like accept it for what it is.
And Kelly also is a horrible pep talker. Like she has takes and views on everything, but her advice is horrible.
Yeah. I know. It's so weird. Like such a weird angle to come in on. Like just
yeah,
ridiculous. Like you don't like her, you don't want to sympathize with her, then just like exit.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, she's over and over again, she's trying to provoke Bethany, even though she might not know that she's trying to provoke her.
Yeah. So then it's getting kind of dark, and then Ramona busts in wasted with a Hooters calendar, and she's like, we're next to the Hooters boat. Like, look at this Hooters calendar, blah, blah, blah. And they're all like, look at these hot girls. And then they start talking about sex. Sonia's in her element talking about that shit. they Bethany's like, Ramona's had about 46 Pinot Grigios since lunch. She's like on one. Like she always drinks a lot, but she's actually drunk for once. Like every now and again she will be actually drunk, which means we're in for a good time. Then like they start telling Kelly, like Sonia's like, Kelly, like you gotta have a one night stand. Like, what do you mean you haven't had a one night stand? That's crazy. And Bethany is like, yeah, like she's like, Bethany's had a one night stand. She's like, of course I have. Like everybody has.
Right.
And she's like, it's not my style to have unprotected sex and sleep around across America.
Yeah, and she says, I'm from the Midwest.
And Bethany's like, oh, you're going to pull the Midwest card. She goes, all these girls, she pulls up the calendar. She's like, all these girls are from Michigan and they're getting banged left and right. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, there's no moral superiority from being from the Midwest.
Is there a religious element to this at all for Kelly? I mean, she says stuff like that about unprotected sex and being from the Midwest, and then she also is very in tune with like the devil, or wanting to be away from the devil, and she does sign herself when she's talking about the nightmares of Bethany killing her. Like, I'm wondering if there's just like an undercurrent of being religious, and that's why she's so aware of what Satan could be doing to bedevil her.
Maybe, yeah. But she's like, she goes, I'm not like Bethany. I have so much integrity. And then she goes, if you had it like this, you wouldn't give it away. And then Bethany's like, what do you mean if you had it like this? Sonia's hot. Like, what are you talking about? And Sonia's like, then Sonia starts lamenting about her post baby body and how she loved her body and her boobs before she had a kid. And then after her divorce, her self-esteem took a hit. She's like crying. Bethany then is being nice. And then Kelly's like, emotions are so 1979. Life is so short. It's like, bitch, fuck off.
I know. Let Sonia cry drunk about her boobs. Let Bethany talk about her impressions of how horrible it was for her dad to say that his life was complete without her. Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, like, go away then.
Yeah.
And then Sonia sometimes goes on tangents that you're kind of like, where did that come from? But she says that she's always admired that Bethany doesn't play the victim, that she's like strong and stuff. And then Kelly's like, I think Bethany plays the victim. Like, and then she gets into she puts me in the press. She's defaming my kids. She's cunning, deceitful, creepy.
And this is all just while Bethany is like looking at Sonia having a conversation with her after Kelly just gave her like horrible, life advice. She's trying to have a conversation with Sonia, and then Kelly is just berating her.
Well, that's the thing. It's like every time you see what the other people are doing, they're like merely sitting.
Right.
Like she hasn't done shit or said anything to her.
And then also she says something about when they're talking about the victim thing. She's like, no, she actually, she does always act as a victim, or sometimes she does. She also goes, also Bethany does this thing where she tries to make people feel bad so that she can feel better about herself, which is not a good quality. She's just actively talking shit about Bethany while she's right there
like
next to her.
Her character.
Yeah.
And then in her confessional, Bethany's like, starts to try and identify what's going on. She's like, Kelly has these short circuits. Like her brain is just like fritzing out, which is true.
Yeah, she keeps just like reverting to the same like criticism she has of Bethany, and she'll do it at any time.
Yeah. And then this is where we get into Kelly saying that Bethany is not a chef, she's a cook, and it's creepy. And Bethany starts getting pissed. She goes, I went to culinary school, you moron.
Yeah. So Bethany's had it a little bit up to here with Kelly's declarations about her. So she finally calls her a moron. And then for some reason, this is going to be a recurring thing, but Kelly keeps having to say that Bethany is not a chef, she's a cook.
Yeah.
And she says it, I think, maybe 5 different times.
Or more.
Over and over again.
Despite everyone backing up Bethany, like throughout, like basically almost every single person has evidence to the contrary.
Even her friends, even Jill and Luann, when she finally tells them, they go, she's actually catered parties that I've been to before. Like, even they can't give Kelly that.
Yeah, and then Kelly's like, because she's like, I went to culinary school, and she goes, nobody cares. And she's like, you're the one that keeps saying it. Like, she keeps refuting it and being like, well, I don't know what you're about. Like, I don't know what you did. And she's like, then why do you keep saying it if you don't know?
Yeah. So what, not to rationalize Kelly, or like her behavior, but what What
I
if she
think
is this?
she's trying to take her down a peg, and it's like the one thing that she thinks she has a handle on that like, but it's like, what even is your job? Like,
Yeah.
you're a former model.
Yeah.
Like,
But and for the most part, I mean, these are all unprovoked criticisms. I mean, Bethany really has.
Bethany doesn't even talk about food or being a chef
No.
or anything.
Yeah.
Like, she hasn't even, maybe it's one thing if you thought that she was bragging and being like, my clients are X, Y, and Z, and I know all about this, that, and the other. But she's bringing it up out of nowhere. And Bethany's like, why are you attacking me about this?
Yeah. So she calls her a moron, which is like the harshest thing that Bethany, I think, has said to Kelly so far.
Yeah. And then this is where Kelly starts to say that she's vindictive, harmful to my children. And then Sonia's in in another space talking about sex and her body. And so then we get back on the like one night stand conversation. And then Kelly's like, I'm not a hoe bag like Bethany, which like to call like a pregnant woman that you don't like a hoe bag is wild.
I'm trying as we talk about it now, I'm like, because it is so there is no reason for Kelly to keep taking these shots at Bethany. The only thing I can think of is that she truly believes that Bethany put her name and her daughter's name in the press, and all of these instances are her trying to get back at Bethany for the assumption that Bethany did this. But Bethany is giving her nothing to make her act this way towards her in this moment at all.
Yeah. And then Bethany's like, adios, lunatic. I'm going to the Hooters boat. And this is the first of many times that Sonia gets left alone with Kelly.
Yeah.
So then we go over to the Hooters Patrol 4. And then Ramona's wasted talking to presumably the owner of Hooters.
This is one of my favorite moments. Ramona with this Hooters guy. It is just so funny. Hooters CEO. It's just so funny to me. I love every moment about it. I just love that it happened to be the Hooters CEO, the calendar in there, and then you get to see a scene where Ramona's just like talking to the Hooters CEO and is on his yacht.
I never really thought about it, or I thought about it this time that I'm like, he just like welcomed the cameras on.
Oh yeah.
Like, it feels so like real and spur of the moment. And I love that he was just like, sure.
Yeah, of
film
course.
here.
Yeah, get the crew up here. I love this flirting, I guess you would call it that, right?
She could not be more embarrassing. Like, if I were Avery, I would like kill myself.
I just think
Someone with like a kooky mom, I was like, dear God.
The only thing I was worried about is how close she would have been to cheating on Mario on camera. That's why it's so funny to me when the Hooters CEO, Ramona, goes to him, like, kind of, I think, talking about the clientele or people at Hooters. She goes, so you normally are dealing with people with like big breasts, right? And like great,
hot girls.
Great hot girls. And then the CEO has the perfect line to anybody who ever says that. What does he say? He's
like, can I tell you something? You've got everything over them.
And it's like that compliment, like the endorphins that rushed through Ramona's head, it like sent the lottery thing spinning 777.
Yes.
It was like jackpot. She goes, oh my God, that is the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me. Come over here. And then she just gives this beautiful kiss on the lips to the Hooters CEO.
Yeah. Alex is like, whoa, girl.
Not even, let me give you the cheek kiss. It was a Ramona kiss on the lips.
And he goes, you sure you want to renew those vows? And she goes, why? You want to marry me?
And he goes, we'll talk about it. Let's just talk about it. Like, and then that's when Alex says, down girl, because she's getting up in his face and she goes, but I do love Mario though. And then she's getting in the Hooters CEO's face, like kind of sultry,
like 2 inches from his face.
And she's going, you know what? Like, I do love Mario, but not only that, you know how like Hooters means hot? Well, I am hot for Mario.
Hot for my husband, because Hooters means hot. I was like, I hate it.
Why do you hate it?
It's so grody. She's just like so nasty. I hate it.
Oh wow. I don't feel that way. I just think it's so funny to me.
I also like that later when they get the pearl handcuffs at the little bachelorette thing or whatever. And Ramona's like, what is all this? I've never been tied up before. And Sonya's like, I thought you were hot for your husband. I thought you were bragging about your sex life. You don't even know about this kind of shit. Like, get a grip.
That's true. I think I love I love that. I just love that it was like a very casual kiss on the lips with the Hooters CEO on camera.
I feel like that's also like a boomer thing. Like, I feel like a 50-year-old kissing someone on the lips is like not as big of a deal as if a young person did it. You'd be like, whoa. But I feel like old people like blur the line between like cheek and lip, you know?
Wow. So I can start to get away with that pretty soon.
10 years.
Wow. And start brushing lips. It's very kind of like you said, it's a little freewheeling on this yacht.
Yeah. And then Bethany barges in, who I'm like, bitch, there's a lot going on here too. But she wants full attention immediately. Like, she's like, you have no idea what's going on the other boat. And she keeps being like, sorry, sir. Like, I need a minute. Like, sorry, sir. And they're like, this is our friend. And she's like, hold on. Like, it's crazy over there. And like, they're like, this is the Hooters guy or whatever. And she goes, I came prepared. Anyways, like, she's just like frantic.
Yeah. She's very, she's stunned again that a fight with Kelly escalated this way.
Yeah.
You know, so she wants to talk about it immediately. And then at this point, Ramona wants to have fun. She just kissed the Hooters CEO on the lips. She's on the Hooters boat. She wants to dance. There's Hooters girls kind of like getting into the on camera a little bit. Like, so she's like, I'm just going to tell Kelly now, that we can't have this anymore. I'm just going to shut her down.
Shut her down.
Yeah.
And then Sonia and Kelly join on the boat. And it does start to, for a second, be like, because Sonia's like, Kelly's with a dog, like a dog with a bone. Like, she's got to quit it. Like, this is too much. And then Sonia's like, I want to see some Hooters girls. And like, for a minute, there is like so much chaos where I'm like, you guys should leave. Like, you're like fucking up the vibe of this Hooters boat. Like,
yeah. And I think they say later that Sonia had fallen asleep. Had gone to sleep, and like, so there was maybe 30 minutes on the Hooters boat before Kelly and Sonia got there, and Kelly woke her up to go with her to the Hooters boat.
That's funny.
So Sonia would have been passed out drunk, but now she had to keep on her drunk, like she's as drunk as hell, Sonia, at this point.
Which makes sense that she didn't survive to the next leg, because then we immediately get turtle time. And then Bethany, can you do turtle time for 15 minutes? And Bethany goes, I cannot do turtle time. And then we see the fat turtle bar.
It looks so cool. Oh my God. I want to go. I hope the fat turtle still exists. I love the signage. I loved everything about this bar. It looked so cool. And I love how happy Ramona is. I mean, it is infectious watching Ramona do the turtle time dance, spinning around on the dock, getting ready. Like, she's the happiest I think she's ever been in her life.
Ramona, Alex, and Bethany. And I have to give Bethany credit. Like, she's pregnant, cannot drink, and she's throwing down with these chicks. They're just fully dancing. They're doing like disco, like corny, like fun, basically like the like where you like put your fingers up to your eyes.
Totally.
And, like,
Pulp Fiction. They're doing the Charleston. They're doing the Lindy Hop. And they have the funniest music. It's this funk music that you could never like, I could never do it, but it looks so ridiculous with their dancing, but they are dancing with no care in the world.
Yeah. It looks really fun.
It's awesome. It's beautiful. It's primal. It's what they use with the White Lotus music. Do you remember those memes when they would put that on the White Lotus? Because it's just like,
oh my God, I want to watch that right now. The compilation of that.
Yeah, me too.
And then there's a quick moment on the yacht where Sonia is like jumping on she jumps on Kelly and then says that the room smells like cat pee.
Yeah.
Which question mark on that.
Right.
And then it ends on like a dancing montage. And that's part 1.
Beautiful, fun dancing. The turtle time aesthetic was captured by all of them. They threw caution to the wind and just danced their asses off. Alex said, we danced like fools that night. It was really beautiful. Well, speaking of that, would you ever want to take a certified turtle piss break?
Sure.
I was thinking about, for timing, because we are at an hour and 12 minutes, we probably only have to talk about the next episode and then a little bit of the aftermath of episode 3, because there's a lot of non-Scary Island stuff that happens,
Yeah.
So let's take a little break. I'm going to dance my ass off and also piss my ass off, and then we'll come right back.
Sounds good.
We're back.
Hello.
Second episode of this.
Yes. Sun, sand, and psychosis.
Do you think they obviously wish that they had titled this Scary Island, right?
Well, I guess it's kind of a good if you know, you know. I was looking at earlier someone's Instagram post, who is someone who likes Housewives personally, and one of their comments by a friend said "shunburn,"
Really?
and I was like, "Wow, that's deep."
Yeah.
I wouldn't have recognized that unless we watched that today.
Shunburn.
Yeah,
Yeah. But, well, yeah. But, like, coining Scary Island, Kelly does get a lot of credit because they didn't
Yeah.
even come close to it.
yeah. Surprised, I guess they didn't pull that. They didn't know what they had yet.
Right.
Quite.
Right.
Yeah. So this is day after Turtle Time. Ramona had a blast. Bethany jokes that Ramona told one of the Hooters girls that she should get an education and go to college. Bethany brings up that Kelly called her a hoe bag, and the whole chef conversation, which then devolves into this whole thing where Kelly just will not give it up that she's a cook, not a chef. And Bethany's like, define a chef, define a cook. And she's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what your deal is. I don't know what you do. And Bethany's like, well, if you don't know, don't talk about it. And then this is where we get an unfortunate Bethany every now and again will go into Lala black scent territory. And she says, you know what they say, if you don't know, you better ask somebody.
Right. Yeah.
Which there's a few times where you're like, Bethany, please stop.
Yeah. Has sort of disregarded her doing that.
And then, she's like, they're talking about how she says that, what is she, Kelly tries to say that a chef doesn't cook or a chef does cook, and then
Chefs are in restaurants. And
right. And then Bethany's like, no, you don't have to be in a restaurant. There are people that cater, and she goes, Kelly's like, catering people's parties is not a chef make.
Yeah.
And this is where Bethany starts to get pissed off. She's like, stop the bullshit. Like, why are you doing this? And Kelly's like, while you're in a horror movie, I'm at Disneyland, satchels of gold.
Yeah.
And you're like, excuse me?
Satchels of gold. So I really was trying to think about what that meant or whatever. I think there's a proverb, like a biblical proverb that says satchels of gold, but I don't know at all where that makes sense in relation to what she was talking about.
Yeah.
The Disneyland movie, because Bethany says no one understands what you're talking about, but they're like, you're in Disneyland, you're in a horror movie or whatever. And she says, okay, satchels of gold. So it's like,
it's giving Yellow Robe Smith. Like,
Yeah.
what are you saying?
right.
And then this is where this is very shoehorned. Alex goes, oh, this is just perfect. She's like, I just got a text from Simon. He's making the boys waffles, and he wants to know, Bethany, should he use the light cocoa or the dark cocoa? And Bethany's like, I would use the high quality dark cocoa. And she goes, that's very timely. Like, oh my gosh, look, he knows who to ask for cooking advice.
So do you think Alex texted Simon and said, Simon, text me right now and ask for chef advice?
I mean, I'm like, what's the time difference?
Oh, right.
But I mean, I could believe that something offhand like that would happen. She didn't, I don't think even necessarily said that he asked for Bethany's advice. It sounded like he just asked her for advice, period.
Right.
And then she was like, Bethany, perfect. And then Kelly kind of like rolls her eyes. She's like, yeah, perfect timing. Like, huh, stupid.
Yeah. Is Kelly, when she says, she's a cook, not a chef, does she mean like, because if you're a chef, you're like, the only chef
It's like
I know.
renowned.
Like, if you're a chef, that's all you do?
It's like a class warfare thing. Like, it's like
She doesn't
you're just
think
like
that
a
she's-
line cook versus like a chef who owns a restaurant who
But
like
has anybody ever been called a cook? Like anyone who's done anything with food? No one would ever say you're a cook. That's a book written by a cook. Like anyone, I
a
think.
cook is like a blue collar job.
Yeah, I just don't even. Yeah, I just don't understand what Kelly is getting so bent out of shape about even designating yourself as a chef.
Yeah.
Oh,
Also, isn't Anthony Bourdain's book called A Cook's Tour?
Yeah, I was going to use him as my reference for a
Because he's
chef.
like, that's cooler to be a cook, actually.
Right. I just don't. I just do not get, which makes sense why I don't understand what Kelly's saying. I just don't get why she just can't let even this one go.
She's trying to be like, you're not all that. You're not a fucking chef. Like, you're not like a celebrity chef. You're just like some bitch who cooks food.
Yeah, I just thought I was like, who calls themselves chefs? But then I thought about Chef Penny,
That's true.
right?
Yes, chef.
Yeah, yes, chef.
It's giving the bear.
Because are they chefs in that?
Yes, chef.
I've never seen that.
I don't think it's good.
Oh,
but
wow,
we
damn.
can get into that on another day.
Sure, sounds good. So this was kind of, this was again, they can't believe, I think, that every single sit down devolves into a Kelly Bethany fight.
Yeah.
Like every time they sit down, there's
Yeah.
something going on between Kelly and Bethany, and this is just at breakfast.
Yeah. And then Bethany goes over to the couch and is just on her laptop secretly crying. She's like, I think already had enough. Like, she doesn't make a scene, like no one even realizes, but she's like clearly exhausted and like, what the fuck is the deal with this place? And her.
She kind of just has her own little solo cry, and nobody knows that she's crying over there.
Right. So then it's revealed that there will be a second location. Ramona's like, I can barely contain myself. I can't hold it in any longer. Can you guess which house on the cliff here is ours? And they point to this crazy one that like takes up the whole corner. And she's like, that's it. That's the house. And she's like jumping around in a bikini and she's like screaming and everyone's like, holy shit. That's, amazing.
Yes. She's so happy.
Yeah.
She's so happy this entire time.
Yeah.
She gets happier and happier
Yeah.
the more this trip, evolves. Like,
The house, like the style of it kind of reminds me of the Cartagena house, which is one that Bethany said was crusty and nasty. But I think this one was a little nicer, but it kind of reminded me of it.
oh, really?
But they say it's 11,000 square feet.
Yeah.
There's a lot of space. Bethany's like, thank God I can like fuck off and just like be by myself. And this is where she starts to drop off the skinny girl bags, and Kelly jumps back like there's a rattler at her door, and then immediately brings it in. And she's like digging through it, and she's like, what is this? I just don't get this girl. What's her deal? And then she lies down on the bed and starts sobbing.
Yeah. So let's unpack that, like a gift bag. So I think that she was already on edge because she's on an island in a gigantic kind of maybe haunted mansion. If she thought it was scary, she doesn't feel like she has allies, even though, like we already said, Alex and Ramona are treating her well. It's just
Right.
Bethany that she's having fights with. But I think she's already on edge. And I think that it does boggle her mind that even though she's been having fights with Bethany, that Bethany would drop off a gift bag for her to have with a bunch of gifts in it.
Yeah.
If you already feel out of depth with someone and you're having a bad time combating them verbally, or you feel just out of depth, that then when you don't understand a person, you think they're creepy, and then all of a sudden you get a gift bag delivered to you with your initials on it, you might not understand why they did that. Right?
I guess, but at the same time, she said that she found it to be tacky and impersonal.
Right.
So obviously she didn't think it was like an attack if she thought it was impersonal.
But that was in the confessional, right? When she said it was tacky and impersonal.
Okay.
So if she tried to pretend it was that.
But obviously it was for everyone and you're there, so you got one. Like, it's just like a bunch of crap in a bag. Like, who fucking cares?
And it wasn't.
It was like chips and like face masks.
Yes. And your reaction wasn't giving, I just received a tacky gift, because you went on the bed and cried. So I think
it was like a knife.
Yeah.
And like,
I think that it was a Jason mask. It was a knife.
it was like elixir.
It was vampire teeth.
Tannis root.
Yeah, tannis root, of course. I think that so she tries to pretend like it was tacky and impersonal, which is not true, but it does though, on any other franchise in this era, I think we would, I'm so on Team Bethany through this entire thing, but like we do start to roll our eyes when people start to do these branded gift bags,
Sure.
and they try to make every instance about their business, like any interaction, they're like giving out samples and stuff. Like I think Jenna Lyons did this on RHONY. So I think that possibly Kelly is sort of
She was a
reacting
pioneer.
Well, Bethany was definitely a pioneer. I mean,
But Kelly was a pioneer in finding it
oh,
distasteful.
yes. Sorry. Yes, for sure. A little bit. She found it distasteful. And also it kind of maybe, it goes into the creepy mindset of like, what kind of person am I dealing with here? This person that brought us personalized gift bags with her.
Yeah, it's like when Luann in the Hamptons, when Bethany gets dropped off in the Skinny Girl Beetle, and Luann's like, "You just drive around with a car with your logo on it," and she's like, "If you can wear an Hermes belt, I can wear Skinny Girl, you dumb drag queen."
Yeah, was that already before this, or is that later when Bethany comes back?
It's a good question.
'Cause I was
She's
trying to
with Jason. Because
Okay.
he is the one that drops her off.
Okay, I was trying to remember if that was.
That might be the beginning of this season. It might be
Okay.
like Ep 1.
So Luann and Bethany are not doing good in this era, really.
No.
Either.
No. Kelly calls Jill.
Yeah, but well, just so we properly unpack this, is there any benefit of the doubt we can give Kelly for her reaction being crying when you
No.
find out you got a Skinny Girl branded gift bag?
Certainly not the gift bag, but if I'm trying to give her any understanding whatsoever, I guess I could prescribe potentially like deep anxiety.
Yeah.
Of like, I've been on trips before, like group trips where you're just like not in the right headspace and you're like kind of crawling out of your skin because you're like, I don't want to be here. Like, I don't feel good. Like, I need to be comfortable in
When?
my own like womb space or whatever.
Yeah, when?
We don't have to get into that. But like, I remember one time I was on a group trip. It was like a million years ago, like 10 years ago or something. And I was like, at night, I would watch Vanderpump Rules on my iPhone because it would like soothe me. It was like a pacifier.
Yeah.
And so I can imagine a world in which you're like, I am so uncomfortable that I'm like dying.
Yeah,
And then for some reason, the bag threw her over the edge.
Yeah, I had a group event where I felt extremely uneasy and anxious, and it's at a party that I think you've been to before as well. And
I know a lot of people that have felt that
and
way.
it kind of like the vibe was just so all-encompassingly
Demonic.
bad that it affected me and my mindset for the entire weekend. So I kind of but what we've even so if you do give her that though, but what we're saying is she has such a difference in her brain of what is actually going on and how she's perceiving it. The reality of how she's being treated versus how she's perceiving it.
Yeah.
Because in reality she does have allies, and Ramona and Alex are being pretty good to her this entire time.
Yeah.
And she's the aggressor in the Bethany dynamic.
Totally. So yeah, she calls Jill. She's like, I'm alone on Scary Island. Woo, drink.
Yep. She coins it.
Yep. And Jill's like, I told you it was a bad idea to go. Like, she's like, I knew it. And then she goes, her dad just died. It's creepy. And Jill doubles down. She goes, I can't even talk about it. Like, she's basically like, I know, it's horrifying. And I'm like, bitch, you're done. Like, fuck you.
I know.
You know everything about the situation and you're trying to say that?
She gave Kelly that. Like, she's like, I back you up on
Yeah.
that.
And then she's immediately like, I have dreams of her stabbing me night after night. And she's like, re. And then Jill's like, wait, what?
Yes. And this is when Jill starts to say, and she says it a lot, she says that I do not understand Kelly when she's telling me things. She cannot put two words together that I understand. And so she was worried for Kelly's sanity, although she doesn't say that yet, from this phone call.
Yeah.
She was worried about her state of mind.
Yes. And she's like, yeah, Bethany is like, you know, she's always saying, you're not all that. And then Kelly's like, yeah, I'm not all that. I don't have fake tits all up in my face. I'm not all that. And I was like, huh?
Yeah, she doesn't like Bethany's double D fake tits. A part of this, too, is that I think Kelly also might subconsciously resent that Bethany is also the star of this franchise, just like Jill does. She's just not processing it normally.
She's like, what planet am I living on that people love this woman?
Yeah.
She's a demon, apparently.
Yeah. I don't want to get too into this, but like when you imagine what Kelly's nightmares are of Bethany, do you imagine that she's like sleeping in bed and Bethany stands over her and with no emotion just starts stabbing her in
She
her
looks
bed.
like, that like creepy pasta that's like the white face.
Yeah.
That like a oblong long face with the black hair.
Is that kind of like Slender Man?
Something like that? I mean, Slender Man's different, but
He is.
there's that scary woman that like she looks like a scary doll kind of.
Is her name Creep? How do I look her up?
I don't know how to
Creepypasta.
look it up. I'm like scary.
I guess I want to ask Villa Rosa VIPs and Little Turtle Cuties, is Bethany, is there,
This.
yeah, oh, that is so scary. Oh, what did
Don't
you
you think
search?
that's what she sees?
Yeah, what did you search?
It's the Momo.
Oh, the Momo is very scary. I don't like stuff that looks like that. If you think that there is at all any justification for why Kelly thinks that Bethany is creepy, let us know, because I don't even currently think Bethany's creepy. So I'm so far removed from this mindset. But I don't know. Is there some world where Kelly does really think that there's some I don't know, evil energy within Bethany that she's reading? But yeah, you're right. I do think it's like the Momo. What was that? That was Momo, right? Momo stabbing her.
Yeah. And yeah, this is where she says that Bethany has knives on her tongue.
Yeah. That's
Scary.
just like
Visual.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Like she means she's like wicked with her tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sharp tongued.
Yeah. Okay, then we get in the morning, Bethany's like making eggs. They're just chilling in the kitchen. Kelly comes in workout gear and is like, hey guys, like, I came in with this complaint pad, so it can be like 4th grade. If you have an issue, write it down. And then you can put it in this fish here on the thing. And they're all like, no thanks. Like, no.
Yes. She says you write it and then you just throw it in the garbage.
Yeah.
So she seems to not fully understand this activity and what she wants to come out of it.
Write it, regret it.
I was just going to say it breaks Dorinda's cardinal rule. They'd be doing the exact opposite of what Dorinda advises. You'd be writing down your miserable complaints and there'd be evidence of them.
Regret.
So this is like Kelly after crying and rolling around in bed scared all night. She said, this will help me or us, even though she's the only one having a problem.
No
and
one else
here.
has complaints.
No, and Alex says, like, I'm not doing this. I have no complaints. And Ramona said, I'll probably just tell you if I have a complaint. Like, this.
They're all like, she's like, because she said it would be like the 4th grade. They're all saying, we don't want to be in 4th grade. No, thank you. And it's just like a total flop.
And also Alex just says, which I really love, she was like, what is she talking about? I didn't do this in the 4th grade.
Yeah.
Like, who writes
Never
down
heard of it, bitch. It's just a total flop.
I think it's just also interesting into Kelly's, mind is just like, where did this come from? Why did she think that was the struggle that they were having, that they can't talk to her properly, so they should just be writing down their complaints? This makes no sense.
No. And then she pitches that she's going to take everyone's photo later. And then she's like, I'm going for a run. And Alex is like, I mean, I don't know what the hell her deal is. She told me last night I was channeling the devil.
Yeah. So does that mean that off camera, after she got out of bed, she saw Alex walking down like the hall somewhere and said, I think you're channeling the devil? Because we didn't see that, right?
I guess so, yeah. And because, that's pre the Kabuki conversation. Yeah.
So she already told Alex. She told Alex twice on this trip that she was channeling the devil.
And then we cut to Ramona visiting Sonia, who is still in bed. She's like, Mona, like,
Moma.
we just went to bed.
I was going to say Momo. Momo. This was sweet. This is early in Sonia's run. I think this is her first season as full-time cast member. But this has the Ramona and Sonia dynamic that we'll see for years to come here.
Yes. She has requested a coffee pot in her room, so she has her own coffee. Ramona's like, I'll pour you coffee in bed. And I love that it's established that Sonia is not a morning person. She, gets out of bed finally, and they go to the beach for the photo shoot.
Yes.
Which Kelly's like, thank you guys for entrusting me. Like, this is just kind of a hobby of mine. She puts a blanket down on the beach and pours blow pops all over it, which, like, the whole candy thing, like, is weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how much candy did she pack for this trip? She had multiple bags of blow pops. She had jelly beans. She had
lollipops.
like there was so much shit.
And those cartoonishly large lollipops where
Yeah,
they're
the spiral.
you know what I'm talking about? The
Yeah.
size of like your head.
Yeah.
Something's going on with the candy, definitely. And she was on a photo shoot or something earlier in the season. She goes, I got very enticed by photography, so this is
Yeah.
what I want to do.
I mean, her ex-husband is a famous photographer.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. And then she goes, and then she immediately gets Sonia into position, and Sonia starts doing these photos with this leopard. Is it leopard
Yeah.
bathing suit?
Yeah, she's slaying. Sonia looks hot. Kelly's very pleased with those photos. No notes. She's just like, hell yeah.
She goes, you're going to die when you see what you look like in these.
Yeah. Then she gets to Ramona, who's in an itsy bitsy, teeny weeny yellow bikini.
Yep.
She's like, it's very funny because, I mean, Ramona, like, her body's popping. She looks good, but then she has that sort of like her mom bob and then like her crazy eyes. So it's like, you're like looking good. And then she's like, "Wee!" And you're like, ah.
Yeah. She's in the water.
And she's like, you know, being sultry. And she goes, I was thinking of Mario making love to me in that moment.
yeah, it's really fun. I mean, Kelly does get, I don't know what those photos looked like. They could have looked like absolute shit.
Published
Do
the
we ever
book.
see them?
I don't think so.
They might have like Kelly's finger on them,
Yeah.
or whatever. But she gets something out of those two interactions, and then it's retro mama Alex's turn.
She has lots of notes for Alex's modeling. She says that she's like, Alex is like marching with venom.
Yeah, venom and anger. And when I originally watched this, I really misread it and did think that Alex was so odd that this is the only type of movement she can make. Like sort of when Ramona was on the runway, where it was
I
like,
mean, she's making, it's because like her hair keeps getting caught in her mouth. She's making essentially what I can only call like making a butthole out of your lips.
and then
It's
Kelly.
the worst case scenario face that you could possibly make.
And I never
She's
would.
like-
I would never comment on this, but I'll just say it's because it's objective. Alex's mouth looks smaller than it's ever looked in her. She was able to get it to be a full like Momo mouth, and it's just interesting. But I think that Alex is just so uncomfortable with Kelly's energy when she's behind the camera, because Kelly is doing the opposite of like a soothing, calming presence. She's actually making Alex more in her head and more embarrassed by what she's
I
doing.
know. I'm like, can we just like nix this? Just be like, we got it.
Yeah, right. I know.
She just like is
She
like,
goes, "Fix
no.
your mouth."
She goes, think of. She stops and goes up to her and she's like, think of little baby Johan. Think of his baby face. I'm like, what the hell?
She's really trying to get Alex out of that fixed mouth, that gritting teeth or whatever.
Yeah, she makes her go like.
And Alex will not. She's uncomfortable.
I would
so
be
she
like,
can-
I'm done. Like, I'm fucking done.
Of course.
This is not enjoyable.
And then her walk is really rigid too.
Yeah.
And then
she makes her do a phony laugh, which
Yeah.
is maybe the only good photo.
Yeah.
That could be something.
Alex does, and then Alex gives a ripper of a huge laugh. Like
she
over the
throws her
top.
head back.
Yeah, but I think that Alex was just placating Kelly because she was like, I'm done with this. I'm over this. Like, Alex's energy was so different to me reading this time. She was just uncomfortable. She didn't want to do this, and she was placating Kelly. And every weird note that Kelly gave her, like Johan babyface, just made her more and more uncomfortable.
Yeah, and then-
even though what Alex did is not a lot of people could ever recreate that in history. Like she did some interesting stuff with the notes for sure.
Yeah. And then meanwhile, Sonia and Ramona are taking their own digital camera, like smut photos that probably look exactly the same. Like she's just posing with like her hand on her waist, you know?
Yeah. Good activity though for Kelly, right?
Yeah. She's like, that camera, I don't even want to know. It's like clearly a very expensive camera, which is like very funny for her, like being a first timer, like, you know? But, and then we get a quick New York moment where Jill, because we know in the final part of this, going to be throwing a winter party where ice skating is involved.
Mm-hmm.
She's at a practice rink with Johnny Weir, who I feel like was very famous at the time.
Oh, who's Johnny Weir?
He's like a famous ice skater.
Oh, she was with him? Mm-hmm. So she was getting embarrassed as hell in front of Johnny Weir?
Yeah. So she's at this like rink and there's all these actual skaters trying to practice, and she gets ripped a new one by a coach who, because you keep seeing her she's fucking around. She's like not doing anything.
And she's getting in people's way. There are people that want to do triple axles right in front of her, and she keeps sort of trying to dodge out of their way, but then she'll get in somebody else's way. And she goes, ice skating was kind of fun until this really rude or crazy coach started yelling at me.
Yeah.
And then you hear
and he's
it.
like, that's the third time they've tried to jump. Like,
Get the fuck out of the way.
he's like, I've never seen such bullshit in my life.
Yeah, get her the fuck out of here. And then Jill, it's so embarrassing. It's so
Cringe.
embarrassing. Yes, and then Jill has to even admit, like, she goes, he's right. He's right. He could be nicer about it, but he's right here. And
Yeah.
then she has to like just leave in shame from the ice rink after being
That
yelled
should have
at.
been like clue number 1 to abort the skating thing.
I mean, putting that in for Jill, like that does
They
not
hated
bode
her.
well for how the editors feel about Jill. Like it
Yeah.
was such an unnecessary scene. They just wanted to show her getting embarrassed and
Yeah.
screamed at by some coach.
Totally. And then Jill gets dinner with Luann to check in. And they're saying how she says Jill talked to Kelly and how she did not sound good. And they're like, she really walked into the lion's den. And
The lion's den. Like Ramona and Alex are being so nice to her.
sure. Yeah. And they're like, but they were saying, they're like, it's really brave of her to go. I wouldn't go where I wasn't welcome. And then Jill's like, well, I mean, she was invited. And Luann's like, yeah, but it was like, come on in, darling. As if they were like wanted to fuck with her or something.
Yeah, a part of this is also a war for camera time,
Yeah.
right? Because Jill and Luann, when they protested this trip, it's kind of like, let's create our own entertainment. We wish Kelly would have been on this side with us so that there would have been these, scenes of us having fun, like rival scenes,
Yeah. But I mean, as if you could win just going to like a boring ass
No.
dinner, the
Right,
two of you.
can't. No, you can't. Well, Luann almost did. Creating
Right.
Money Can't Buy You Class and then going
True.
on that iconic date.
Yeah. And then this is where Jill's like, like I thought they were coming back Sunday, but it turns out they're coming back Tuesday. And I was already planning to go out there with Bobby on Monday. So what if I change my ticket and go on Sunday and surprise them? And Luann's immediately like, no, like
No.
that's a horrible idea. Why would you even consider that? And
Yeah.
she's like, what? And then she's like, no, because they'll be happy to see me. Like I can bring a gift. I can give Bethany a gift. And Luann's like, well, I guess it sounds like you have already planned this. You're already doing it. And she's like, yeah, kind of.
So why? My thoughts are that Jill, like with the worst read, is that Jill started to get kind of jealous of the attention possibly that trip was getting, and she knows that all she's doing is being screamed at by ice skating coaches on an ice rink, and so she realizes that there's a lot more power to her going on that trip halfway through than there is with her just milling around New York City.
Right. Even if she has to pay out of pocket to get there.
Yeah, but it's screen time and it's a
Yeah.
storyline, and she thinks that this is good, that this is the way to go, but
Yeah.
from an entertainment standpoint, because I don't believe her for whatever reason she actually says it's for.
Right.
To what?
No,
to,
it doesn't really make sense.
to
It's,
just
like,
go on the
confusing.
last day of a
Right.
trip and try to repair your relationship. You could just wait for 2 days and then
Right.
repair the
They
relationship
will
after.
come right back.
So I feel like I do feel like Jill started to get sort of jealous of the
Yeah.
spotlight.
For sure. And then she says this, and she says it again later, that Bobby made her realize that she should have backed off of Bethany, not cut her off. So
Yeah.
basically that she was too extreme in just cutting her out
That's
completely.
really got to hurt when you made this stand against like your former best friend. You wrote them out and wrote them off, and then you hear from your significant other that they don't agree with how you handled it.
Yeah.
That's like the
Bobby's
person you trust.
words of wisdom,
Yeah.
which I'm also like, why didn't he make that point clear while it was happening? Like, why did he wait
Maybe
till
she
after?
didn't seek advice from him up until a certain point.
Yeah.
He seems like he's pretty sparse with, giving his take and opinions, and he doesn't want to get involved. But maybe when she finally asked him, he let it be known.
Yeah. Okay. Then we get to back on Scary Island. Bethany's making dinner. That's her gift. Everyone is giving a gift back to Ramona, and hers is making dinner.
Kelly's gift was photos. We find
Yeah.
that pedicure coming up was
Sonia's.
Sonia's.
Yeah.
Alex. Alex is the bridal shower.
Yes.
Wow, they were all. I didn't know that they actually all did that. That's really sweet.
It's cute.
Yeah.
So Bethany is making everyone dinner. So she's inside cooking. The rest of them are outside, like about to get cocktails, but Kelly's on the phone with her kids, and they're all trying to have like cocktail hour, and they're kind of like, all right, well, if you're going to be fully on the phone, can you go inside, because you're just like right in the mix with us having a phone call.
Yeah.
And Ramona's like, just go inside, like, whatever. And she's like pissed immediately.
Yeah, and this is one of those instances where Kelly is just not accurately assessing a situation. She wants to have a loud phone call in the middle of this beautiful dinner scene.
Yeah.
And Ramona politely asks her to go away. And she goes, "This is not about you right now."
She's like, in her confessional, she's like, "Don't bring up my kids or I'll like kill you."
Yeah, it's like, if I'm on the phone with my kids, I'll claw your eyes out if you come near me. But it's like it's
the most basic of etiquette to excuse yourself on
just
a phone
do
call.
it and don't make a big deal about it. And that keeps happening. Everyone just asks, please, if you don't have something to say, you don't need to say it, like about the chef versus cook thing. Like, you don't know the true answer to that, so why do you keep bringing it up? And then when they ask her to be quiet, when she keeps inserting herself, she gets louder and louder. It's like, why not just take the cue?
I know. So then Bethany comes out and they're like, well, you just missed another fucking thing. Like, you won't believe what just happened. Bethany's like, something happened already. And then Kelly hears them talking about it and comes out and she's like, you know what? Like, starts a whole nother scene.
Yeah. Ramona's starting to call Kelly crazy, and they haven't even gotten to the, you know, horrible dinner yet. But like, it's dawning on Ramona. And I think Alex already thought this too, that she is unstable. It just takes the dinner scene to really like cement it for everyone.
This part we're doing right now is like the moment. They're wearing the outfits that you see. It's happening. It's starting right now.
Yeah.
So the first thing that they get after because first they have like sort of like mango or peach martinis or something like that. And Kelly doesn't want that. She goes, I don't like martinis. And they're like, we do. Like, we love it.
I don't think Kelly drinks.
Yeah, not really. Like, I think that's part of why this is a problem, this whole thing. Yeah. Because she's out of her element. Mm-hmm. And then, so she's like, I don't want that. Then there's a salsa flight and everyone's going apeshit. They love it. And Kelly's surprised. She's like, oh, you made these salsas yourself? And she starts to be like, Bethany's like, yeah, I made them. Like, that's what I'm doing here tonight is I'm making salsa or making all the food myself. Yeah. And Kelly starts to be like, chefs don't make food.
Yeah.
Which I'm
she
like,
wants to bring it back. Yeah, she wants to bring. I think she was saying most chefs don't like. I don't know. I don't know if she
don't have to like do the labor or something.
Yeah, I don't. I think she maybe wasn't trying to like insult Bethany at that moment, but it's still for Bethany. It's like you're bringing up the chef cook thing again for the 1,000th time. Yeah, so it bothers her.
Yeah. So then they go to sit down. It's organized seating and Kelly's like, I do not want to sit by Bethany. She's psychotic. Mm-hmm. And then so she ends up moving seats or whatever. And the food's coming out. They got crab cakes and everyone's like very into them. They think it's really good. And Kelly barely touches hers. Yeah.
What's gilding the lily mean? Adding too much. I don't mean that. But they are, I will say, they are buttering Bethany's bread a little bit. Yeah. They're kind of,
sure. But that's what you do.
Right.
When someone does something like that for you.
Right. But if you're already about to have a psychotic break from reality, hearing everyone gush about these crab cakes and salad might tip you over the edge just a little bit more. I'm not saying it's ever the appropriate response, but I am saying that the way they're talking about the food, and Kelly has been talking about the difference between a cook and a chef or whatever, like it probably does start to grate on her a little bit, this reaction.
Yeah. And so she's like sending her food away and Ramona's like, let me eat that, or Sonia eat that, because I don't want to send it back untouched so that she thinks that you didn't like it or whatever. And she's like, no, it was good. I just like, I'm saving room for later. And then I think it's in her confessional, she goes, the food wasn't that good. And she's like, but the salad and the salad dressing was amazing. I was thinking to myself, she could be like Paul Newman, which I'm like, has she ran with that clip? Because she kind of does low key have a salad dressing empire. Who? Like the salad dressing is still in her control under Skinny Girl.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. And she talks about it all the time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow. So so she might have ran with the Paul Newman as the skinny girl. She has a skinny girl branded salad dressing now.
Yes.
Whoa. Okay.
And in her like home cooking videos, she's always saying she's using the skinny girl dressing.
I wonder if she uses that blurb from Kelly. Her food is not good, but her salads are amazing.
Yeah.
And then Kelly says, I don't really like crab cakes in general. I'm saving myself for steak.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is when I think she gets her steak. And everyone is presented with their steaks. And then Kelly goes, I need something a little sharper to cut mine because there's a string in it and it's kind of raw. And then that's the worst thing that Bethany could ever hear. She's kind of hovering around and Bethany immediately goes and grabs, she goes, let me take this back. And she takes it back to the kitchen. And it's very sad for Bethany, a rare loss for Bethany in this whole saga, because the one person who had been criticizing her food the most gets the stringy steak that's not cooked all the way.
Yes. So then she puts a new one on the grill, gives it back. Sonia is raving that the food has been 5-star, and she goes, I should know. I had a 5-star chef on my boat.
Right.
And Kelly is like, stop talking about the past, which I'm like, that is sort of a precursor again to future conversations where Sonia won't shut the fuck up about her former life, and everyone is so sick of it. Like when Dorinda's like, John's dead, so quit it.
Right. So Kelly does say you don't have to keep reminding us of the past. And
And she's like, well, I worked in restaurants. Like, I don't know what you want to hear from me. And Bethany goes, were you a hooker? And she's like, ha, just kidding. And they're all like, la, 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 la. And then, so just note that Kelly did not like that joke.
No, not at all.
Ramona says, you know what? I haven't heard from Jill this entire time. And Kelly goes, I have. She's like, all she wanted to know was about how Bethany's doing. And I don't know, they're like, Jill just keeps coming up. But this is where Ramona gets up at the table and formally apologizes to Bethany for the near murder on the Brooklyn Bridge when she tears her life apart.
Yes. And something about this scene or decision really bothers Kelly. She's really, really mad at everything about it. Yeah. And Ramona had already accused Kelly of not letting anyone talk at the table because Kelly is kind of like interrupting people, saying her take on things. And Ramona said, Kelly, or in her confessional, she's like, at a normal dinner party, everyone gets a little bit of time, but Kelly's like belligerently talking over everyone. And so then when Ramona, I think obviously Ramona thought this is a great time for me now to show my love for Bethany and apologize to her. But Kelly is ruining the moment by talking over it and talking so much shit about it. And almost in a fourth wall break, Kelly is commenting on how artificial this seems a little bit. Yeah.
Ramona sits in Bethany's lap and Kelly's like, are you going to make out with the tongue? And they're like, please stop. I'm trying to have a moment right here. Like, calm the fuck down. And she goes, I want you to zip it.
Yeah.
She starts telling everyone to zip it.
Yeah.
She's giving Dr. Evil.
Yeah. She wants zip it. She wants zip it. And it's, I don't understand at this point what Kelly wants at this dinner table. Mm-hmm. She doesn't want anybody to do anything that she doesn't like, which is talking about Jill. Ramona apologizing to Bethany, which has nothing to do with her. Yeah. She doesn't like that Ramona might get close to Bethany's face and they could possibly kiss or whatever. But it's like, what? So she tells Ramona to shut up at her own table. Like, what does she want to happen at this dinner?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, everything is bothering her, but she also just can't check out and be on her phone and shut up and let them do whatever they want.
Yeah. They're all starting to be like outraged. And this is where Bethany goes, now you guys see what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And they're like, something's wrong. It's almost scary.
Yeah.
And then this is where Kelly says, free to be you and me, 1979. And then this is where Alex is like, you know what? I was scared to get my photo taken by you earlier because you were making me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And she goes, I threw up scared the other night that Bethany was going to kill me.
Yeah.
She's tried to kill me so many times before.
Yeah. She goes, so you're having nightmares about me. Meanwhile, I'm having nightmares that Bethany is trying to kill me each night.
Yeah.
And then that's for Alex. It's completely out of the blue because she hasn't told that nightmare fantasy that she has about Bethany. So Alex is very taken aback. And also, I think that she doesn't say that it was in a dream.
Right.
She
goes,
says that,
when has Bethany tried to kill you before?
yeah. And and then I think this is Ramona and Bethany are now gone, and they're kind of talking about how she's off the reservation completely. And then and Bethany's like, now you're all tuned into the same movie as me, finally.
Yeah. And then this is where Kelly tells the messenger story about the black eye makeup, white face, and Ramona's watching from the side, and this is where we get one of the best gifts of all time, where from out of frame she is handed a glass of Pinot Grigio and she just grabs it.
Yeah.
Like she never even looks at the person, she just takes it.
Yeah.
It's one of the Hall of Famer moments.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And Alex is like, you know what? I need a timeout. I need to get the fuck out of here. And that's when Bethany's like, me too. And then Ramona's like, me too. And this is like the first time where I am like, okay, this is giving Mean Girl energy, where I mean, it's justified, I guess. Like, they're like, this is insane. I can't abide this conversation anymore. But they run away, leave Kelly alone with Sonia, and Ramona's literally like cackling, running away.
Yeah. And Kelly goes, oh, you hear that? She goes, witch hunt, total witch hunt vibes.
It's like Hades in here.
Yeah.
Which another sort of biblical vibe.
She's very affected by hell and Satan, and if Satan is possibly channeling her friends on Scary Island, or these people that she resents.
Yeah, and so then Sonia is sort of like talking Kelly off a ledge alone at the table. This is where Kelly's like, Bethany goes after me in the press. She went after my little girl. And she's like, you want me to sit here with her after she called you a hooker?
Yeah. So then I guess Kelly does try to justify why there's so much hatred for Bethany again, but then she uses evidence that Sonia knows was a complete joke, the hooker thing.
Yeah, Sonia's like, oh, I thought that was funny. She's like, she didn't actually think I was a hooker. Do you get it?
Yeah.
And so then the other women rejoin, and they're basically like, let's get to the bottom of this. What are you actually saying about like the press and shit like that? And Bethany goes, I want to hear the truth. Let's hear the truth. And then Bethany, in her own sort of Kellyism, it was a little like non sequitur, goes, you can't handle the truth. And then this is where Kelly goes, Al Sharpton.
Right. I don't know why Bethany did that Jack Nicholson impression at that moment.
I know. I was like, don't encourage her to do that.
You already, people are being accused of channeling characters and Satan and stuff, and then you channeled Jack Nicholson at the table and did his iconic quote from A Few Good Men. But
Aaron Sorkin.
We still don't know what the pull was for her to bring it to Al Sharpton. We don't know that.
And then Kelly's like on one still. She goes, I am a woman and I have a prerogative. And then she goes, how about when you attacked my friend Gwyneth? And Bethany's like, who? And she's like, Paltrow.
Yeah.
Which I think recently Gwyneth Paltrow was asked if she knows who Kelly Ben-Simone is, and she said she did not.
Yeah. So now Kelly is adding a lot of fuel to where this like hatred is coming from for Bethany. And aside from the press accusations, which we don't know if they're real, I mean, this is a lot of garbage that she's pulling into her assessment of Bethany.
Yeah.
Making fun of Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah. Non sequitur. She skips down the hall to go get her candy.
She's kind of laughing as she runs down the hall.
Yeah. She brings up the dead dad again. And this is where Sonia's like, you guys, like, something is not right. We have to stop. Like, we're acting like she's normal and it's not chill. Like, she's lost it. And then Kelly brings up again that she had a dream that Bethany tried to kill her. And that's what spawns the famous, go to sleep.
Yeah.
You're crazy.
Yeah. So Bethany has been very calm and treated Kelly decently well, besides calling her a moron. I mean, for all the times that Kelly has come at her, this is finally the last straw of Bethany with her full fury screaming at Kelly. And Kelly's reaction is one of the most the wildest things ever. It's like this like delayed, very exaggerated reaction where it's like Bethany's words are physically repulsing her back. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, it's like
She's like,
yeah, like,
that's a good gift too.
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so even though Sonia's saying like let's stop treating her like a normal person, like I think that was Bethany's one last time where she wanted to get out how she truly felt and how she would treat someone who was acting normally that had been talking shit about them for 3 days. So she screamed at her, and then it's immediately like, no, this is not fair. We can't talk about her like this anymore.
Yeah.
She's talked about the kabuki thing, which no one knows what she's talking about. And because the kabuki thing makes no sense and she can't string 2 sentences together, they put that up against the evidence of channeling Satan and the knives and murdering. So then you're talking about kabuki theater, and out of context, that all just, you know, comes together as psychotic behavior. Like you have no fucking clue what she's talking about.
Right.
And the Al Sharpton stuff. Even though I would say all of these pieces not individually would not make a psychotic break.
Well, yeah, if you've been with someone for 3 to 4 days and they've never made sense the entire time, you're like, okay, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Bethany's like, she starts to break it down, and she just goes like, I do not want to fight with you. I do not, want this to go on. Let's be cool. Like, I feel you. Like, obviously something's going on. This is too much. I'm going to chill the fuck out. Like, we're done. Yeah. And Ramona sort of butts in a official cheers to be like, cheers to good things for everyone. Yeah. Like, and Kelly's like, thank you.
She's like, that's nice. Good things for everyone. Thank you. And then it ends. And that's when it's like, is this what Kelly like wanted everything to be? Like, did she want them all to just be like robots with only good positive things to say? Because she fully acclimates to the world that they create for her, which is just this nice world of treating her like a child.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she wallows in it. She likes like, this new reality.
What is the impression? Who is Bethany doing an impression of that one time when she goes, pretty bird, pretty bird? It might be about Kelly too, but like, yeah, like basically like treating someone like they're like, they've snapped.
Yeah, I only know that from Dumb and Dumber, but I don't know what Dumb and Dumber is referencing. So I mean that's the scene. I mean that is the big climactic moment where all of the kind of odd things that Kelly has been saying sort of all aggregate in one place, and they make the decision halfway through that Kelly is having a psychotic episode. And then the reason why I do think that something did shift is that when they're talking about her actively being crazy and treating her like she's not even there, she doesn't try to dispel them of that notion at all. She doesn't even really fully understand what they're saying, or that they've completely changed their demeanor to adapt to her psychotic breakdown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so she's not registering.
She never hooks in and is like, don't call me nuts. Like, fuck you.
Her view of reality is so warped that she thinks that they're just treating her normally now, and that she like won in this scenario.
She's like, that's right.
Yeah.
She's like doing crafts in the
So then we know now, we don't see this in the episode, that's the end of that episode.
Yeah. And when we wake up at the next episode, she's gone.
And she wrote thank you notes to Ramona, but apparently I read that she wrote thank you notes to every single person, all of the crew members and the producers. And
she was just up all night scribbling.
Yeah. And he goes, that would have taken a lot of work. The producer said she wrote handwritten notes to all of us. And I guess they made the decision after that night, because the cast were really worried that she can't continue to film with them, that something was going on. But I really don't know if it warranted fly you home in a...
I mean, I'll take it from the people, the boots on the ground, if the producers were like, this is actually unethical for us to continue.
Because... I don't know. I don't know. Because they show her in the next episode 2 days after, and nothing has changed. Yeah. She's, she's not acting remarkably different than how she was acting in this, in St. John's or whatever. Yeah. So I don't know, but obviously you're right. Like, she was apparently breaking the fourth wall, and they had to cut that out. She was calling for the producers to try to tank the scenes. So maybe it was just a little more chaotic than we even got to see.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, classifying it as full like psychotic breakdown. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I fully go there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. She said apparently in her note that she needs to go take care of her girls, which I was like, okay.
Right.
And they're all like sort of shaken by what had occurred the night before. Like they're like, whoa, like that was crazy.
Yeah.
But they're starting to restore. They're doing yoga, massage, swimming, chilling out.
And you actually feel like the relaxed energy, like they
Yeah.
all just went through something and
Yeah.
they're trying to get over it. Like they don't want anything, no tension or anything. Like they're just like, they're reveling in the moments without Kelly this next day.
Right. And then Sonia has prepared this mani-pedi day. So that's what they're doing. And Ramona's like crying because she's like, I thought I was doing this for you guys, but it turns out that you've given back to me and I feel so loved. And like it's pleasant and everyone's like relaxed. And then they all start to stir and like one by one you see them realize and then you hear, hi.
Yeah. And then surprise. And
Ramona's like, you have to be kidding me. And then this is where you get equally, I feel like, iconic. I pair them in my mind as Bethany doing the impression of Jill saying hi. And she was like, you just heard it like a horn.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's hard, like it's hard to understand why, like, well, for Jill, it's extremely hard for her to understand what she just walked up to and what they've all been through. Because they would never in a million years have had this reaction had they not gone through the Kelly turmoil where they thought that a cast member needed to go to like a mental health facility, you know, to recuperate. So they are traumatized.
they all look like, have you seen that meme where it's like my dog when like the doorbell rings and it's like a dog that looks scared and there's like Vietnam, like apocalypse now, like in the background.
Oh, no,
Like,
I've never seen that.
They all look like it's like when Jill entered, like they all had just been through like PTSD.
It's exactly that. Like that affected them so badly, especially Alex, that they were witness to potentially a psychotic breakdown and that a cast member had to be flown home after it.
Literally, I always think that the effect of this scene will have worn. And every fucking time I watch it,
No.
I'm laughing so hard. Like just Alex's face, like literally like a perfect example of like the blood leaving your body, like stone cold, like shocked.
Yeah. Also, Jill is so excited. I mean, her energy is the exact opposite.
Oh, no.
And
she's like, look at this manicure pedicure. How great is that?
yeah. And so she's not acknowledging that there's any past, grudges here.
Hi,
but also,
Bethany.
yeah. But also, I just think that none of them had an ounce of energy to give Jill at all, no matter what Jill would have done here. They were just
It was
tapped
worst
out.
case scenario of like, imagine like when you're hungover and your phone rings and it's like your mom or like something where you're just like, no.
Yeah.
Like, or like work. Like
Yeah.
you're like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And they were, yes, exactly. And they were so in a state of mind where they just wanted to relax and get over the trauma that they felt last night. And then it's the last person they would ever want to see. And their reaction, not one of them can properly greet her. And it's even worse because Bobby is there too. And Bobby has no idea what is going on. He cannot imagine a world where this is the reception that his wife would receive, but it's only because they have no context for what they all just went through with Kelly.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's 100% them. They are reckoning with what they all witnessed last night, and that's why they can't give any proper energy to Jill.
Yeah. Ramona's like, you have to be effing kidding me. And Jill's like, it's as if someone had died.
Yeah.
Like they saw a ghost and not a friendly ghost.
Yeah. And it's you already said this, but it is so just inherently embarrassing for for Jill. Even with the context of knowing why they're shunning her and acting like this to her, Jill's energy makes it so much more embarrassing because she's being so peppy and saying a bunch of stupid shit about the mansion and stuff and just completely ignoring. Like anyone else might have looked at them and been like, you guys look like you went through the fucking ringer, and I just saw Kelly in a straitjacket boarding a flight to go back to New York City. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like she had no social awareness, and she's not self-aware.
No.
So it was the worst case scenario for Jill in terms of what energy they gave to her, and also what Jill was bringing to the table there.
It's perfect. And Ramona's like, in all sincerity, why are you here? And she's like, I thought you would be happy to see me. And she's like, in all sincerity.
Yeah.
I love that catchphrase of Ramona's. And she's like, they're like, yeah, Kelly left. And she's like, yeah, I saw her at the freaking airport. Like, well, what's that about? Like, you know, like she knows something happened, but doesn't seem particularly interested.
I'm really surprised that Ramona, and I know Alex doesn't have to do this, but I'm really surprised Ramona didn't use Kelly as an excuse here. Yeah. She had a get out of jail free card. I would have said that in 2 seconds. I said, sorry about this reception. We went through it last night. We feel horrible, and we have no energy to devote to you, and we're shocked, and we don't need any more surprises in our life right now. But she doesn't use Kelly as a scapegoat unless they edited that out or something.
Yeah. And Alex, they're like, holy shit, are you okay? She's like, it is my first time away from my kids and Simon, and there's been enough drama.
Yeah. And
Ramona's like holding her. She's like, all right, we got to get Jill out of here. Like, this is enough.
Yeah. And that's the a little bit of like PTSD that Alex is suffering from, I think, a little bit. And it hurts Jill because Jill thought that when she came, she could win Ramona over easily away from Alex, because she doesn't think that Ramona and Alex have a very good relationship at all. Yeah. So then when she sees Ramona, how trauma bonded they are, Ramona goes up to Alex and she's holding her. Yeah. She's being like, I'm so sorry, Alex. I didn't invite her. I promise. That's also Jill's worst nightmare because she sees that Ramona is more of a friend to Alex than to her.
Yeah, like she's fucked up in every avenue.
Yes.
And so she's like, all right, we're gonna go. Like, let's go, Bobby, let's go. Yeah. And so she goes to sit in her Jeep or whatever, and she's like, they shut me down, they kicked me out. And Alex is tripping, and then she's like, Bobby spent a fortune to get me a private jet, which you're like, well, yeah, that's your fucking fault, like totally. Not his.
But it does make it all the more sad for Bobby. Like for me, I'm just like, it's more embarrassing that she also made Bobby do all this shit for her to get her there.
And then he has a small conversation with Bethany where he's like, Bethany's like, I'm sorry, like she brought this on herself, like this is and he's like, I don't want to get into that, like I just I only hear her side or whatever. I also noticed he's wearing a Kodak shirt, which remember they did that brand deal where Ramona's like, Kodak is an antiquated brand.
Yeah, what the hell was she thinking when she said that?
But Bethany's like, I adore you. Like, it sucks that this whole situation has come between us because I really love you a lot. And
Bethany gave Jill absolutely nothing. Not even one word.
No, I think she says hello and that's it, because she's like, hey, Bethany.
Yeah. And then it was sort of nice. At least Ramona went out and tried to explain the situation, because Jill is just crying in her car. Yeah. Absolutely miserable. The saddest she's probably ever been.
Ramona's like, dude, like my guest Alex is upset. And she's like, oh, so Alex is your best friend now? And she's like, she's not my best friend, but I really like her. Like we've spent this whole time together, and honestly, yeah, like she's cool. Yeah. And Sonia's like, we low key just like kicked our friend out of here. Like, I feel like Sonia actually is a perfect voice of reason this entire time. I mean, she has like her drunken moments where she says weird shit, but generally, like relationally, she's the one that makes them be like, you guys, Kelly's lost it. Stop.
Kelly went off the deep end. So
like she's the center.
Yeah. So Sonia had to, be a mediator in this thing. Yeah. So she was. Yeah. And I'm sure that Sonia has never seen anything like that in her life, of them just kicking out a friend who
it is like
up.
Shocking, but it's like, that's how little they had to give. And then, immediately Jill is furious that Alex has taken her place and is like, who is Alex to butt her nose into my business, you know?
And she really, she starts to get her ire up over Alex, as if Alex is the reason why she was shunned. And all Alex did when she got there was just start to shake.
Yeah.
And be really like scared.
Totally. So yeah, her and Bobby fuck off. And then there's dinner at night, and you can like see the like balmy vacation air. Like everyone's like hair is down and like curly, and just like they're finally like, we've dodged every possible bullet. Yeah. We've made it through, and now it's just the four of us, and we can like fucking relax.
Yeah, they thought they were going to that morning, and then they had the Jill episode. But then it's finally, and there's really not much more to the trip because they don't have anything else to give at this point. Like they're opening those gifts, and it's like handcuffs.
They like talk about motherhood. Ramona chokes on her dinner, and Sonia's like, "I was ready to give you the Heimlich. I did that to my ex."
I forgot that Ramona choked
She's
for
like,
a second.
They're talking about like motherhood and like ultrasounds and like blah blah blah, and Ramona's just like
yeah. And they're all already so tense that they're all like geared to like help her immediately.
And then they're talking about like dating and like dick size and stuff, and Sonia's like, you know my history, I always go exotic, you know, Chinese, Irish, Italian. I'm obsessed with her being like a woman of the world. Like she just fucks everybody.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah, me too. I love that too. It was nice that she's showing us the full Sonia, persona that we're going to get, for years after this.
Yes. Okay. And then lastly, there's the fallout in New York.
Yeah.
Jill, Luann, this woman, Jen, and Kelly get lunch to go over what had happened. Like Jill says, Kelly had a nervous breakdown, and Luann has heard some stuff. And Luann's like to Jill, she's like, it's insane that she turned you away, but I understand why she did it. Do you?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, as far as a class with the Countess goes, your guests are everything. Yeah. You must protect your guests.
So if you didn't give the proper RSVP.
Yes.
And so if an uninvited guest or an unaccounted for guest comes up and then that disturbs the balance of the guests you already have. Yeah. You kick them out immediately. You have to. It does make, I'm glad that Luann put that into Jill's mind. And Jill, I think at this point does start to accept it more and more, why they did it.
Right. And then so Kelly joins. She's saying how she's shell-shocked that the trip was everything that she hates. She hates gossip. She hates talking badly about people. And Luann goes, that's probably why you have no girlfriends.
Yeah. Yeah, just a little joke. And then Kelly does the absolute worst job at articulating what happened during the Scary Island journey. She makes absolutely no sense. She brings up that she called Bethany a hoe bag, which is like one of the 50 things, not even the top 10 things that happened on the trip.
Also know your audience. Like, Luann's going to hate that.
Yeah. And so then Luann's like, wait, I'm not on the side of that. But it's like, that's not at all. Like, that was barely.
That's irrelevant.
Completely irrelevant. And then she goes, and then I had to grab my jelly beans and I'm running around and I'm just eating my jelly beans. And everyone's trying to track the story. Luann and Jill are looking at each other being like, okay, how are the jelly beans going to be a part of this story? Like, was that after you called her a hoe bag? It's like this story has no arc to it at all.
And then she's like, and then she kept saying she's a chef and I kept saying she's a cook, and like, I don't know anybody that's ever hired her. And then that's where both Luann and that woman Jen are like, oh, I actually, that's how I know who she is because I know friends who have hired her before in the Hamptons.
She was a chef to friends. So they're poking holes in everything she said. And also it's like, she doesn't give them Kelly doesn't give them like the headline from the trip. She's just giving them the most random little anecdotes that happen. So they have no clue how to process what truly happened on that trip.
Yeah, and then she tells like a weird lie where she says that Bethany was like,
admitted,
I harassed you in the press. I did a smear campaign. And they're all like, what?
She admitted that part was not true.
That was insane.
Yeah.
And then Luann's like, all right, well, you're here now. You're back from Poison Island. So there's an alternative title, Poison Island.
Yeah, Luann tried to get a Poison Island off.
Yeah.
And then they're kind of both like, I think I need to hear the other side of the story. It's like, yeah, I think you do.
Which I was like, when Luann said that, I was like, knowing that the next scene is them all at Sonia's house getting the full rundown from the actual other people that were there. I was like, I can't imagine anything more exciting than hearing whatever the fuck Kelly just told you and knowing that in a mere number of hours you get to sit down with everyone, which I think she should have asked like 10 billion more questions, but like to get the side of Bethany, Alex, Ramona, Sonia. So yeah, we go to Sonia's house. She's having like an art party, and this is the first time they're all seeing each other. Luann's like, yeah, I heard it was fucking nuts. Like, were you guys picking on her or whatever? Bethany's like, it was terror on the high seas.
Yeah. And then it was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, she says.
Yes. Luann was like, all right, that's funny.
Yeah.
So they go to the dining room because they got to get down to brass tacks. Bethany says Kelly sees the opposite of everything that happens. She spins it around and she's like, I truly thought for real that she should have left there and checked in somewhere.
Yeah.
And Luann is just like, it's not satisfying enough. Like, you want them to go through like everything.
Yeah.
But they are like, we can't be rude. We have to go back downstairs and see the opera singer. But I was like, no, tell her everything.
It's just, it is hard for them to describe what they went through because there's just so many disparate things you have to bring into account to tell the full story. So I feel like Luann leaves here and doesn't truly know what happened either. You just have to see it.
Right. And this, like, Alex says, because Luann's like, I heard you guys were really mean to her and like bullied her or whatever. Yeah. And Alex was like, I'm surprised that she would tell you that because I would say it was the opposite.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then it just ends with like Jill's fucking wacko winter wonderland party where she wears a full like recital skate outfit and skates in circles in Bryant Park and makes everyone watch her.
It makes no sense. I mean, they don't even
she has like no skills whatsoever.
Explain. She brought everybody to this winter wonderland ice skating rink and she'd been practicing at ice skating rinks to do this number or routine where everybody watches her, and then she immediately gets on the ice in this pink outfit and she immediately falls within 1 second.
Which, like, okay, first of all, it's crowded as fuck. Like, it's just one of those, like, you know, like, what would you call that? Like, it's like a zoo of people on the worst shitty ice in the worst shitty
Is it like
skates.
Rockefeller Center? No.
I think this was maybe an additional one, but it's like that. It's like if you've ever been to one of those like public place, like the ice is like chunky and beat up. It's like impossible to do anything. You're just basically like milling around like a cattle.
But she wanted people to watch her, right?
Yes, but it's a public event.
Yes.
So it's not like she like had rented the rink and everyone got to like watch. It was like a zoo.
Yeah. It's there's a lot of hubris here. Jill really thought that, you know, she was getting an iconic scene and an iconic moment, and it's kind of like Jill's plight that she thinks she's doing one thing and then she has like one of the most embarrassing moments I've ever seen. I mean, she just gets out on the ice, she falls, she does a couple spins around a bunch of random people who are not even watching her, and then she just has to go inside and like finish her party. And Jill is so insecure and bummed out that she's thinking about all the people that are missing. Yeah. Like that Ramona came late and that she ruined her relationship with Bethany. She's spiraling at her own party that she wants to get back her relationship with Bethany, and she knows that she ruined it at this point.
Right before she's skating, she calls Bethany on the phone at the advice of her sister. Yeah. And Bethany's not even recorded. Like it was like a real phone call. Yeah. And they agree to meet for lunch, which was on the following episode where they go to Le Cirque, I think. And it's clear that like there's no fucking hope. No. Like it's over.
And we know the future. It'll be 10 long years where they don't talk until we see them on Bethany Ever. No. What's the show? Her podcast.
Oh yeah. Be Real or whatever.
Be Real.
And so then we get a quick Ramona and Jill convo. It goes okay. Also, Kelly tells Ramona that she's pissed that she like left her to dry on Scary Island, and Kelly's still freaked out by Bethany on dry land. She goes, Bethany's a freak. She's a predator.
So she has not learned anything. No one spoke to Kelly about what she did. No one has talked to her yet. And then she has the gall to tell Ramona that she's mad at Ramona for not defending her enough
Right.
during Scary Island.
Right.
She thinks that she can hold Ramona to account after
Yeah.
this thing. That's why I'm like, this had no impact, or no one was around Kelly to tell her that this was an odd thing that she just did
Right.
in front of a bunch of people. That's why it's so. When I first watched this, I thought that Kelly would never be on the show again.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I thought that Scary Island would be at the end, or at least season 3.
I know.
Would be the
It
end
is
of
kind
Kelly,
of
'cause I was
crazy
like,
that she came back
yeah, and then she's just fully on season 4. It's like
Yeah.
it didn't register.
for Morocco,
Yeah,
which she also acts weird there.
she does.
She's like, Alex is being weird. That's weird. Like she's always so
Yeah.
freaked out by everyone's behavior.
It'll be interesting if we ever do Morocco, which I think we should, for
totally.
a Turtle Time trip. Like, I want to see if Kelly embodies this Kelly spirit that we saw this time, but she has more allies, so she
Right.
doesn't get to be fully deranged.
Right. But yeah, so the last thing is that Ramona tells Jill, she's like, I'll just tell you, like, I'm sorry about the way things went down, but honestly, if you would have come in during the mani-pedi and had been like, I know, hey, Alex, I know that we're feuding, but like, I just wanted to make peace here today. Hey, Bethany, like, what's up? Like, I
Yeah.
was like, I don't know if it was possible.
I don't really believe it. Jill could have just walked in and be like, Bethany, I know I'm the last person you want to see. That would have had the exact same impact and reception. I don't think Ramona realizes how traumatized they were by Kelly, and that's why Jill was received that way. So she's trying to create alternate versions of how Jill could have done better, but there's nothing Jill could have done.
No,
They didn't want to see her.
it was doomed.
It was
Yeah.
doomed.
Yeah.
Good. Well, this is a 2-hour and 23-minute episode. I can't believe that we just talked for 2 hours and 20. I mean,
Oh
we
my
do it
God,
almost.
we can't be stopped.
Yeah. But I hope that this was enjoyable. I hope it still feels topical and red hot. And even though, Amy and I are not physically here this week, we hope that this still resonates no matter when you listen to it.
Yeah.
Right?
You should somehow incorporate your daughter's middle name to Scary Island.
Oh, I will. Oh, you mean make her middle name a reference to Scary Island?
Yeah. What could it be?
Oh, I was thinking Jelly Bean. I was thinking Frida B.
Yeah, Jelly Bean.
I like Jelly. I mean, Jelly Bean kind of hits for a middle name.
Al Sharpton.
Al Sharpton or just Sharpton. I don't mind. Well, think about that. How about that? Is so great. What a great question to leave everyone with. What do you think my daughter's middle name should be? It has to be Scary Island coded.
Yeah,
So
comment
please
below.
Comment, let me know, and we'll also know that you finished this episode.
Yeah. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'm sorry, we had a snafu. There's a brief moment where we are not on camera. So just know that we'll put something fun there, and you will have already seen it a while
and you
ago.
can kind of envision what we were doing in those 5 minutes. It will look a lot like what we were doing here. Well,
Gesticulating.
I'll leave you all with this. If you liked what you came here to see today and you enjoyed this discussion that Amy and I had about one of the most iconic, some of the most iconic episodes in Housewives history, we have a Patreon, which is ripping and roaring right now. Season 5 of Vanderpump Rules. We're recapping the entire series of Vanderpump Rules. We're all the way at season 5, and it is I swear, I think it's fun, and most people who listen to our episodes, they enjoy it, I think. Right?
Absolutely worth $5 a month.
Yeah, $5 a month, and you get the archives of almost 75 episodes that Amy and I have done. You get access to all of them. And then also, if you like this, please, if you want to review or rate us on iTunes or Spotify, Apple Music.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's iTunes.
Same shit.
Yeah. Do one of those things, and it helps us get into the stratosphere of Bravo Podcast, the upper stratosphere. So we would absolutely love that as well.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. This was fun.
Yeah. Was it fun?
I think so.
Good. I had fun too. All right. We love you all, and we'll see you next week, hopefully.
Bye.
Bye.